Afternoon, everyone. It is game time. A cold, wintry afternoon here in Edmonton as we begin the final countdown to kick off Grey Cup 84. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to our control studios at Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium. And as we move left and look out onto the field, the bands are enjoying this wintry weather, their enthusiasm and spirited music warming the hearts of fans braving the cold afternoon. Fashion is forgotten today. Today, yes, it's snowmobile suits and heavy parkas. Also gone is the green and gold of Edmonton, replaced by the blue and gold of Winnipeg, the black and gold of Hamilton. For the players, a time for reflection. The warm breezes of summer have turned to the cold winds of late fall. A season-long struggle comes down to 60 agonizing minutes. And in this stadium, weeks of activity here in the television studios and in our TV control centers culminate in the drama of this afternoon of Canadiana. A drama that will play to millions of North Americans on 4 networks. The Grey Cup, a unique tile in the Canadian mosaic. It is East versus West. Remember, it's only a game, but what a game. Just about 26 minutes to game time as we return live to Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium, the pre-game festivities. Always a special part of the Grey Cup, and right now, let's join the public address announcer here at Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium for the Skyhawks, the Canadian Forces parachute team.
For a safe landing on the field.
Les parachutistes ont maintenant ouvert leur parachute et manœuvrent pour atteindre une distance verticale d'environ 100 pieds entre eux, pour ainsi pouvoir passer leur équipement entre les câbles supportant les haut-parleurs et s'assurer un atterrissage sans risque sur le terrain.
The jumpers are in order of landing. Number 1, bringing in the official ball, is Captain Doug Hubbs from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Les parachutistes sont dans l'ordre d'atterrissage, d'abord apportant avec lui le ballon du match, le capitaine Doug Hubbs de Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Number 2 will be flying the team pennant of the Hamilton Tiger Cats is Corporal Brian Acker from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Le numéro 2, apportant avec lui le fanion du championnat de l'Est des Tiger Cats de Hamilton, le caporal Brian Acker de Dartmouth, Nouvelle-Écosse.
Number 3, flying the team pennant of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is Warnock's Bud Ryan dress of Windsor, Ontario.
Le numéro 3, apportant avec lui le fanion de championnat des Blue Bombers de Winnipeg, l'adjudant Bud Rhiners de Windsor, Ontario.
Number 4, flying the Skyhawk flag and in landing last, the Sergeant George Thibault from Montreal, Quebec.
Et le numéro 4, apportant avec lui le fanion des Skyhawks, le sergent Georges Thibault de Montréal.
And the ball will be handed over to Mr. Ross Perrier, the referee for Grey Cup 84 at this time by Captain Doug Hubbs.
Et le capitaine Doug Hubbs, le premier parachutiste qui avait avec lui le ballon du match, va maintenant remettre ce ballon du match à l'arbitre en chef du match de la Coupe Grey 84, Monsieur Ross Perrier.
And ladies and gentlemen, may I bring your attention to 3 helicopters from 408 Squadron Edmonton, the arrival of a formation of 3 CH-135 Twin Huey helicopters.
Mesdames et messieurs, maintenant l'arrivée d'une formation de 3 hélicoptères CH-135 Twin Huey.
This telecast today is being seen by millions on 4 networks, our French-Canadian network, ESPN in the United States, and of course CBC and CTV. Our commentators are ready to go. It is Grey Cup 84 from Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium, and here's Pat Marsden.
Well, thank you, Brian. Hello again, everybody. Yes, this is an exciting time. It's cold, but it's exciting, and nobody more excited than the Hamilton Ticats. To a man, they told me this week, look, we're going to go out there, have some fun. We'll check the scoreboard after 60 minutes and see how we've done. But I'm not sure that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can be as relaxed, Whit, because they're supposed to win.
They are supposed to win, and I'm just disappointed, Pat, that Rigney and Lancaster didn't make an entrance with the Skyhawks. I mean, they were given the opportunity. But yes, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are expected to win. Most people expect them to win big. So all the pressure is on Winnipeg. They compiled the better record during regular season play. But what a lot of people forget, Frank, is that the Hamilton Tiger Cats during the last 10 games, we're 7-3.
I know that, Donnie, but Ron, these guys have never been out there for one of these contests. We know that it is an advantage to be an underdog, but I can't imagine the Winnipeg Blue Bombers taking this game lightly. It's the biggest one for them in 19 years.
It starts in June, and it goes all the way through to the last game of the season. Everybody wants to get there, and anybody in the country that's a football fan that cannot get pumped up for this isn't a fan.
I'm kind of excited about the whole thing. We got to get it on here in a few minutes for sure. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, of course, will be the heavy favorite. But Ron, any last-minute thoughts about how Hamilton can beat them?
Just line up and play it and see what happens. That's all.
All righty.
All right, well, I'll tell you one thing that is very important, and that is the quality of play at the pivot position. Now, all week we've been hearing about Tom Clements being under such tremendous physical difficulty, and there's no doubt that the hit he took last week, Don, in that big game against the BC Lions was a factor right until, well, a couple of days ago. We're going to take a look at it right now. You can tell us how Nelson Martin got through there.
Nelson Martin on the safety blitz got his helmet right into the ribs of Tom Clements. He threw a touchdown pass on this play to James Murphy, but that hit caused some lung damage, and there was concern, Pat, that he would not be able to play. And everyone was surprised when he didn't show up with the team on Tuesday night, but when he arrived on Wednesday, we knew he was going to be in the game.
And there is no question about it that Tom Clements is going to be ready. So is this man. He's never been in a Grey Cup game before. Dieter Brock could really be the equalizer in this contest. There is no question about his ability to throw the football. And wow, overhead, you can tell those jets just came flying by. Everybody was excited about it. I almost fell out of the booth, but I'll guarantee you one thing. We are ready for this one. There they go right now. We're not going anyplace. Whit, what do you think about what's coming up?
Well, it'll be a great battle between two experienced quarterbacks, Clements and Brock, and two experienced ball players who have both been in Grey Cups in the past, Frank Rigney and Ron Lancaster, to tell us more.
Don, I'll tell you what, the one thing I don't think anybody has talked about so far, Ron, is the big play and the turnovers. And the Hamilton Ticats late in the season and in the playoffs proved that they could come up with that kind of effort.
Well, it took the big plays to get him here. We're going to look at the biggest play of the season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Argonauts rolling for a touchdown with an 8-0 lead. They want to throw the ball to Paul Pearson right in the seam. Right drops to the deep outside, Bennett in the middle, Conridge 1-6. But watch and see what happens. This is what his own defense is all about. When the ball's up in the air, you go get the football, and Felix Wright comes from way out. If they score right there, it's 15-0, and it schools out and it's over. But the Ticats made the big one.
Oh! That one just about blew us away, too. One thing about this ball game, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers obviously have been more consistent offensively and defensively all year long, but the big play as far as the Bombers were concerned in that Western final was on a punt. Scott Flagel, their safety, broke through number 14. Watch him get through the initial line of scrimmage, if you will, and we'll roll it forward. He gets through very easily. If you stop it right there, you'll see the back from the BC Lions step to the outside. Flagel comes in there and blocks one of the few kicks that Louis Pasagli has ever had blocked in his kicking career. So turnovers definitely will be a factor in this ball game. And you know, our coverage is going to be complete up here as well as down on the field. And one of the all-pros that we've ever had in this broadcasting business, Al McCann.
Obviously, Pat, we're having some problems down at field level with microphones, and that's understandable on a cold day like today, and Al's probably still a little shaken by those jets flying over. They scared the dickens out of me out here.
I was just going to say, if Al isn't concerned, I was. I thought they were coming right through the window. The simple truth of the matter is, this is a very important time for both these clubs, though. You can forget all the odds. You can forget who's supposed to win, who's not going to win. The fact is, at this moment, nobody has won a game this year as far as that's concerned. Let's, right now, go down and check with my pal, Leif Pedersen, who's down in the dressing room area.
Thank you, Al. I'd like to talk about a couple of things that might motivate the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to play the best game of their lives. Now, people will say money should do it, and I can't argue with that, because $11,000 today will go to each winning player and $6,000 to each losing player. Now, both paydays are excellent, but the players don't have to be accountants to realize that the $5,000 difference between winning and losing could put a lot of extra Christmas presents under the tree. There's no question. Money will be a motivator for some, But in my opinion, there's a bigger motivator, one which was an obsession for me, and one which the Bomber players will be shooting for this afternoon. And that's the opportunity to wear a Grey Cup ring, a ring that will say we were the best team in 1984. This is Joe Barnes' ring from last year's Grey Cup. And I know there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't take a good long look at it. And when he does, I'm sure the memories come back to him so vividly that he feels like the game was played yesterday. So think about this. The money can and will be spent, but the memories that this ring could provide each Bomber player with for the rest of their lives could never be spent or taken away. This ring is what they want. Boy, I wish I had one. Right now, let's check in with Leo Cahill, the Hamilton Tiger Cat dressing room.
Well, thanks, Leaf. When I first came to Canada in 1960, the two best teams in the Canadian Football League were the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Hamilton hasn't been to this big game in 4 years, and Winnipeg hasn't been here in 19 years. So if you hear a growl once in a while coming from underneath this door behind me, you'll know it's an indication that Hamilton is back in town, and guess who they're playing? That same Winnipeg team. You know, about 6 weeks ago, Harold Ballard, the owner of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, made a statement to the press that his team was a bunch of bums and that people shouldn't pay to go out and see them play. Well, Al Bruno took that challenge to the team. They accepted the challenge, and they've won every game since then. Now, Bruno can put together a decent game plan for this game, and the players can come through. They're going to be the toast of the town. Now, on paper, Winnipeg's the better football team, but in a one-game shot, anything can happen. I think Ben Zambiazzi put it in best perspective when I just talked to him coming down the hall a short time ago, and I said, Ben, can this team win today? He looked at me with those linebacker eyes and grinned a little bit and said, we didn't come here to dance. Well, we'll see. Now let's go to the third team, the officials, and see how they're handling their game plan.
Well, Leo's right. There is the third team on the field. And here you see supervising referee Bill Fry talking to all of them. Ross Perrier will be the referee for this afternoon's ball game. Ross, of course, from Toronto. But these are experienced people, and this is the culmination of their 1984 campaign as well. They're not here because they've only had years of experience. They're here because they performed in 1980 well to the very best of their capabilities, and they were the best of the officials who called the shots in 1984 in the CFL. So having said that, remember that there's a tremendous amount of pressure on them, just as there is on the two ball clubs. They are going to have some big decisions to make. And when those decisions are made, they're going to affect the outcome of this ball game. And let's hope that it isn't an official's decision that does decide the final score. Let me ask the little quarterback, number 23 over here, what he thinks of the field conditions. Would it bother you to be playing this afternoon, Ronnie?
You know, yeah, we walked on it before, and it was hard as a rock, but I know this. You get to this game, and you don't care what the field's like. It's going to be water, mud, or frozen as it is. You don't worry about that. You got 60 minutes to play, and you want to come out on top.
Ronnie, just talking offensively about the football game, don't you think it will probably favor the short passing game? And if the offensive lineman can take off just a little bit, maybe Willard Reeves will be the factor that a lot of people expect.
Well, that's for sure, just because if that offensive line gets off the blocks, Reeves doesn't need a very big hole to run. And on a short pass, one slip by the defender turns it into a long one.
And of course, there's nobody better than Dieter getting rid of that ball quick and throwing it. They've got to get pressure on him. That'll be difficult to do, Don.
Well, Frank, as a Shenley Award winner, as a matter of fact, both of you were Shenley Award winners.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Back in 1961, I should point out, as an offensive lineman playing on a frozen field, how important is it to get that traction? Do you have an advantage over the defensive people?
Well, I think you've got an advantage on pass blocking because he has to get through you and he has to get that traction to do so. And as I said to Ron, if the offensive lineman can get good traction, then you'll have a bit of a running game. But I think that's going to be difficult. I know that the players down on the field have tried 4 or 5 different types of shoes on that field, and some of them said there's nothing satisfactory.
All right, and let's not forget the special teams will be important too. But right now, we're going to check back in with Brian Williams.
All right, thank you, Pat. All Canadians are justly proud of our joint space effort with NASA in the United States. And last month, history was made when Mark Garneau rode the Challenger into space. This week, he has been the guest of honor here in Edmonton.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big break-up welcome to our first Canadian astronaut. Maintenant, mesdames et messieurs, veuillez souhaiter une bienvenue digne de la Coupe Grey à notre premier astronaute canadien. Commander, le commandant Marc Garneau.
Astronaut Mark Garneau as he rides into Commonwealth Stadium. He has been very, very popular here in Edmonton this week. He was asked earlier today if he enjoyed his celebrity status. He says, "You bet, I am having a ball." He had a good time yesterday in the parade. He's spoken to several schools. Mark Garneau, the guest of honor at the 1984 Grey Cup here at Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium.
If you'll turn to page 80 in your official 1984 Grey Cup program, we would ask you to note the following player changes. For Hamilton, the following players will not be dressed. Number 3, Steve Stapler. Number 12, Peter Gale. Number 15, Les Bleur. Number 33, Kevin Lindsay.
Grey Cup 84 will continue from Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium right after this.
Well, for Canada's Mark Garneau, the country's first astronaut, his mode of transportation on arriving at Commonwealth Stadium, Pat, just a little different than what he's used to. There were a few people around our hotel rooms last night who looked as though they belonged in space.
You're not looking at me or yourself in the mirror. No, you know what, though, really, it has been a lot of fun. There are an awful lot of people who are excited, 34 of whom are on each of these two clubs. There's a look at the aerial shot. Right now, though, we're going to let you meet the Western Division champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Les champions de l'Ouest, les Blue Bombers de Winnipeg. At center, au centre, numéro 43, number 43, John Bonk.
Yes, John Bonk, who began his
Left guard,
association
garde
with the
à
CFL
gauche,
selling hot dogs
numéro
at Ivor
65,
Stadium.
number 65, Nick Bastaya.
Well, there's a fellow that everybody will recognize across the CFL because, of course, he played with Hamilton. He also played with the
At
Toronto
right guard.
Argonauts.
Garde à droite, right guard, numéro 50, number 50, Mark Moores.
Here's a young man who basically was a backup at the start of the year, got the opportunity to play, and has done a good job.
Well, when you consider that Tommy was sacked fewer than
At
any
left
other
tackle,
regular quarterback.
bloqueur à gauche, le numéro 62, number 62, Richard Nemeth.
And how about this young man? At the University of Western Ontario, he played as a slot back. He's an offensive tackle in a Grey Cup game.
And they tell me that he played very well last week in the Western Final.
At right tackle, bloqueur à droite, le numéro 63, number 63, Chris Walby.
He has some aspirations to become a professional wrestler, and when you take a look at his size and those arms, you can understand why.
I was afraid you were going to say
Slot
professional
back, demi-serré,
broadcasting.
numéro 31, number 31, Rick House.
There's really one of my favorite football players over the years, Rick House, because he gives you that 100% intensity all the time, and despite injuries, he's still one of the great inside receivers.
Wide receiver, ailier éloigné, le numéro 70, number 70, Jeff Boyd.
Jeff Boyd and his counterpart, James Murphy, the type of individuals who can break a game wide open. They are the Winnipeg Deep Threats.
Wide receiver, ailier éloigné, numéro 21, number 21, James Murphy.
Boy, and you talk about speed. Does James Murphy have it? And what a catch he made in the Western Final when Tommy got hurt.
Slot back, demi-inséré, numéro 71, number 71, Joe Poplawski.
A very emotional moment for Joe Poplawski, playing a Grey Cup game in his hometown, a city in which he starred for a number of years with the University of Alberta.
Running back, demi, numéro 39, number 39, Sean Keel.
Well, there's a young man I had the opportunity of seeing in his final college game. He played in the Vanier Cup, and it's got to be a thrill for him to be back here in Edmonton as well.
Running back, demi, numéro 38, number 38, Willard Reeves.
Well, there's no doubt that the folks sitting in the handicap section this afternoon are hoping he scores a few touchdowns because he has promised them that he will present them with the ball every time he scores.
Quarterback, le quart, numéro 2, number 2, Tom Clements.
Well, I saw him in his first game in Ottawa, and now I'm seeing him in the biggest game of his career because Tommy Clements is a guy who thrives on pressure, and though he might be banged up a little bit, you know he'll be at his best today.
Tommy Clements wearing a black jacket for the first time this afternoon.
Assistant coaches and
there's a friend of all of us, Cal
Bombers.
Murphy, the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and we might add a native Canadian.
He already has 6 Grey Cup rings. He could get his 7th this afternoon. Most of the experts think he will.
And of course, Cal was with the Montreal Alouettes originally, then went to Edmonton. That's where he picked up the 6 rings, and he can pick up, as he said, the 7th today.
Defensive lineup of the Eastern Division champions, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Et maintenant les membres de l'unité défensive des champions de l'Est, les Tiger Cats de Hamilton. At left end, allié à gauche, numéro 77, number 77, Grover Covington.
Well, when Grover Covington cranks it up, he is one of the outstanding defensive ends in the league. He had a brilliant game against Toronto, basically as a contained man, preventing Holloway and Barnes from getting outside.
I tell you, though, he had 18.5 sacks on the season.
Left
He's their big rusher,
tackle à
too.
gauche, numéro 59, number 59, Rod Skillman.
A fellow that really didn't receive much credit until the final part of the season, because that's when he really came on.
He joined the Ticats midway
Right
through the
tackle,
1984 season.
numéro 61, number 61, Mark Walker.
Well, Walker's the kind of guy who, of course, his responsibility today is to try to shut down Willard Reeves. If Winnipeg tries to run the football a lot, he's going to have his hands full.
Right end, allié à droite, numéro 65, number 65, Matthew Price.
This is a defensive front 4 that basically try and contain. They play that control type of defense.
Outside linebacker, secondaire extérieur, numéro 72, number 72, Leo Lazarus.
And he's got to have some second thoughts. I mean, not only did he play with the Blue Bombers, but his in-laws playing on the other side of the field.
Yes, Chris Walby is his brother-in-law.
Middle linebacker, secondaire intérieur, le numéro 31, number 31, Ben Zimbiazzi.
Leo Cahill talked about linebacker eyes. That's a perfect example of what he means.
You don't ever want to get him infuriated at you.
And he's played much better since he's been moved to the middle.
Outside linebacker, secondaire extérieur, le numéro 36, number 36, John Priestley.
And of course, when Ben moved to the middle, Priestner moved to the outside, and that has really solidified that defensive alignment.
Quarterback, demi-coin, le numéro 20, number 20, Mark Streeter.
One of 10 former Winnipeg Blue Bombers now wearing Hamilton Tiger Cat colors. They could almost call this the alumni game.
Cornerback, demi-coin, numéro 14, number 14, Gerald Best.
What a year Gerald Best had. Led the entire Canadian Football League in interceptions with 12. He really is a ball hawk.
Defensive halfback, demi-sûreté, le numéro 16, number 16, Howard Fields.
This Hamilton Tiger Cat secondary, second only to Winnipeg in interceptions this year. They picked off 34, and this man played a key role
Defensive
in
halfback,
providing the strength
demi-sûreté, le
in
numéro
that
28,
secondary.
number 28, Felix Wright.
Well, if there's any one man responsible for this club being in this game this afternoon, you're looking at him right now. Felix Wright had 4 interceptions against the Toronto Argonauts last week.
At safety, le maraudeur, le numéro 24, number 24, Paul Bennett.
You think this man has some emotion playing this afternoon, an ex-Blue Bomber, now going against his former teammates, and he too will have a brother-in-law on that Winnipeg
And he
roster.
had coach Al Bruno, the assistant coaches,
How
and the rest of
fortunes
the
can
Hamilton Tiger
change.
Cats.
Al Bruno, 3 weeks ago, figured he was definitely out of a job. Comes up on this cold Sunday afternoon to see if he can win it all.
And again, Pat, we should point out, don't forget that over the final 10 games of the season, the Hamilton Tiger Cats won 7 and lost 3. They were one of the hot teams over the final month and a half.
And as a matter of fact, if you want to bring it down even more than that, I mean, look at how well they played in the last 7 games. They were 4-2-1, and I mean, they knocked off the Toronto Argonauts twice. They beat Ottawa, Montreal, Calgary, I mean, and Saskatchewan. They are a red-hot team.
They rely on their defensive unit to shut down the other team, and with an experienced quarterback like Dieter Brock, he will wait and take the most of the opportunities afforded him.
Let's listen in on referee Ross Perrier. I can tell you that Hamilton did win the toss of the coin, but now are they going to elect to take the option of this first half or the second half? You see, because there is a possibility that we could have a change in the weather at halftime, and I was told prior to the start of the game that Hamilton might elect to do their thing in the second half.
Well, the wind has increased in velocity since the time we first arrived here at Commonwealth Stadium, and that wind could very definitely be a factor as this game progresses.
But you know, somebody said it just a few minutes ago, you got to forget all about the weather. Just go out there, play the very best of your ability, check after 60 minutes, see what the score is.
Boys and girls, would you please stand and join with Sergeant Garth Hampson of the RCMP and Edmonton's Pro Choral Choir in the singing of our national anthem. Mesdames, Messieurs, veuillez maintenant vous lever et vous joindre au sergent d'État Garth Hampson de la Gendarmerie royale du Canada et au chœur Pro Choral d'Edmonton pour notre hymne national.
Breakup 84 will continue from the Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton.
Hey, Frank and I are all set to bring you the first half of what we think is going to be a very close first half of football here in the Grey Cup game. But guys, I'll tell you one thing, whoever wins is going to be the champion, and there's no disputing that.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. The Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are all cranked up. We're moments away from the kickoff, Frank. I'm an ex-Hamilton guy. You're an ex-Winnipeg guy. We got a lot at stake.
Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun the first 30 minutes, but I tell you, you can forget all the odds and everything else. Right now, these guys just want to get to it.
That's what Rufus Crawford wants to do. He wants to get his hands on the football. Howard Fields is back there with him, but the kick comes up just a little bit short, and Rufus very alertly allows the ball to bounce out of bounds.
Well, that was close play. That just went out by a couple of inches, came back in, but Trevor Kennard will have to do it over again once again. Boy, that's got to be tough, kicking that hard, cold ball to start the game.
But, you know, that's a good play by Rufus Crawford, because field position is going to be so important throughout the entire course of this game. And you say, well, what's the big deal? 5 yards. 5 yards could be the difference in winning and losing.
Winnipeg number 3.
And they call it an illegal kickoff because the ball did go out of bounds, so Trevor Kennard will have to repeat it now.
Pat, you touched on an interesting point, field position, and we couldn't have two better kickers this afternoon than Bernie Ruoff punting for the Ticats, and of course Bob Cameron punting for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Both kickers, I think, are the two best in the league at punting when the elements are not in their favor.
Riggs, I know that, you know, what happened yesteryear doesn't mean anything, but Hamilton has not won a game in Edmonton since 1966.
No, I know, and they've never won in this stadium, obviously, because of going back to that date, but all of that means nothing right now.
This kickoff is dribbled down to about the 35-yard line. Dave Graffey on the return for the Ticats, and that is excellent because Hamilton will take over at their 45-yard line, which is far better than they could have anticipated. All right, there's the way that the Hamilton Ticats will begin this 1984 Classic. Dieter Brock is at quarterback, and of course those are the people he'll be throwing to. The newcomer is Dwayne Jett, number 7, in place of the injured Steve Stapler, and the offensive line remains intact. First down, Ticats at their 45-yard line. Very quickly, Brock puts it up to Ron Johnson, and he is wrapped up by David Shaw. The ball comes loose. It is picked up by Frank Robinson, but they rule it was dead at the point of impact.
Leaf, you know, not really a surprising play for Dieter to start off with, because the Winnipeg corners do lay off quite a bit from those wide receivers. I was wondering if they do that on this kind of field. I think they probably would do it even more so.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. This is the kind of a field where the defense does not want to take any chances. Have a look, Ron Johnson on that quick hitch pass, and David Shaw comes up, makes the play, but of course the ball came loose after he'd gone down.
Actually picks up a couple of yards, so it's 2nd and 8. Brock's pass is complete to the rookie, Dwayne Jett, and Jett will have the first down of this ball game as he crosses midfield, forced out by Donovan Rose.
Frank, absolutely correct. Donovan Rose really giving Dwayne Jett a lot of room at that wide receiver spot. Simple curl pattern, but nice throw by Dieter Brock. Certainly the cold weather will not bother him at all.
And there's the best defensive unit in Canada. Boy, I love their linebackers. When you look at Fowler, Jones, Brown, and Robinson, I can't conceive of a better core.
They haven't been bringing them so far, Pat.
There's they brought him that time. DiPietro falls on it back at the Hamilton 43-yard line.
Ty Jones, the leading sacker for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the course of the year, and he goes just with his great speed on the outside, makes that move around to the outside. And Leafy's very similar to James Parker in terms of they hide him all over the place, but he uses that great quickness to try to get in there.
Hamilton should not be discouraged because Dieter was sacked more than any quarterback in the league. He went down 73 times this year, but he's capable of rebounding as they go into the shotgun. Second and long, they throw it short to Johnny Shepard, and he's forced out by Delbert Fowler, the linebacker, and we're going to have our first punting situation of the ball game.
Well, that's a tough spot for any quarterback to be in, 2nd and long like that. You don't want to give up anything cheap downfield, and Dieter knows that after Bernie Ruoff's punt, they're going to have pretty good field position on a day like that. That's really important.
Leaf 72, Fowler can really pop you too, can he?
That's a great trade I think Winnipeg made. Of course, Ken Shankoni went to Montreal. Both teams had to be pleased with that.
So Bernie Ruoff stands at his 35. Sean Keogh and Kevin Nellis are back awaiting at the Winnipeg 15. And Ruoff had some problems, so he had to get away. Then it was semi-block. But you see the treacherous footing as Sean Keogh falls on the ball at the 33-yard line. Ruoff just couldn't handle the pass from center cleanly. He finally did get the kick away. But nevertheless, the Blue Bombers are going to have possession at their 33-yard line when we get back. Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium. I'm Pat Marsden along with Leif Pedersen and Frank Rigney. We have just begun the opening quarter of this 1984 Grey Cup Classic. Tom Clements has been the story all week. Would he play? Would he start? Or would he not be able to function? But he's got the flak jacket on, and apparently he's ready to go.
It's not really a normal flak jacket, about half the size of the normal one, just enough to give him protection in that rib area after he suffered that injury last week, but he's healthy.
Blue Bombers from their 33-yard line with a first down. This is Willard Reeves. And Reeves gets to the 36-yard line, but Leo Ezrins was there to haul him down. Ernie Afghanis?
You know, the condition of the field has made it difficult for some of the players to decide what shoe to wear. This is one of them. It's called the Shark. They have larger rubber cleats on the outside, the shallower cleat on the inside, so they're going to get double grab. It's between this shoe, the Shark, and the broom ball shoe that most of the players have decided to go with. Now back upstairs.
The pickup was 3 yards, so make it 2nd and 7, Blue Bombers. Clemens pass to Sean Keogh. He's got the first down. And Keogh is forced out as he gets close to the 50 by Gerald Best, but there is a flag back in the Winnipeg offensive backfield, and somebody might have gotten to Tom Clements a little late. Let's wait and see.
Leif Keogh made a super play in the BC Lion game in the Western Final 41-yard gain right after that punt that we showed you that was blocked by Lupus Agley. He had not been a big factor as a pass receiver during the year.
Winnipeg number 63.
But it does show that Tommy's prepared to use everybody.
Oh, there's no question he will use everybody because Hamilton very seldom has blitzed in the last few games. They're just going to send those front four. When they do that, everybody drops out. They've got to hit the running backs.
Chris Walby was called for holding, so negate that first down, make it 2nd and 17. There's that little Utah shovel that very alertly John Bonk tried to cover but could not. Mike Walker ends up with the football, and let's see who will be awarded it. Well, it simply should go as an incomplete forward pass because, of course, the ball was shoveled forward.
That's absolutely correct. Winnipeg will have to give it up, but Ticat fans, the hearts jumped a little bit. They thought they might get that fumble recovery, but sure was a forward pass.
A few hearts jumping on that Winnipeg bench, too, when you lose it down there.
Paul Bennett and Rufus Crawford are back awaiting this anticipated punt from Bob Cameron, who stands inside the Winnipeg 15. It's still scoreless. Good punt by Cameron. Boy, he boots so well in these kind of weather conditions. Rufus Crawford. And Rufus, the man who broke the all-time CFL record for total yardage. It was a record held by Hal Patterson, gets it out to the 47-yard line. A 47-yard boot with the return by Rufus Crawford.
Now, Rufus Crawford, a north-south runner, as we like to call him. Nothing fancy here. Gets some positive yardage, but number 37, Frank Robinson of the Bombers, really puts a lick on him.
So for the second time, the Ticats start out in excellent field position at their 45-yard line. The give is inside to Mark Bragignola, and he'll pick up about 4 yards.
That time they did bring their all-star middle linebacker, Aaron Brown, 52. Just came straight ahead on the right guard, Marv Alamang.
You know, Pat, we talk and we really give so much credit to these Winnipeg linebackers. I think the best feature that they have between the four of them is their ability to blitz the passer. Aaron Brown, one of the best, and we know all about Ty Jones.
From the 49-yard line, it's second down. A long 6 yards to go. Brock's pass is caught by Dwayne Jett, very close to the first down marker. Now, the placement of the ball will be all important. It is a first down, Hamilton. Well, that helps when you start with good field position as they have. Let's take a look at that one again.
I think that really does show the advantage the offensive receiver has on a field like this because he does know where he's going. He just cuts to the outside. And although Rose was right there with him, the ball thrown perfectly by Dieter.
And the ball is now in Winnipeg territory at the 53-yard line. Flag is down. The pass intended for Mark Bragignola was over his head, but we've got a holding call against the Hamilton Ticats.
I think we're going to have Ralph Schultz, the left offensive tackle, that's going to be called for this. It looked like he was holding Tony Norman on the play. Norman, of course, the best rushing defensive lineman on that front four for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Holding Hamilton number 63. First down.
Well, they call Alamang the right offensive guard. Take a look at Schultz at the bottom of your screen right there. It appeared to me that he was holding Tony Norman, number 55.
Hamilton, of course, wants to score some points, but they want this to be a low-scoring ball game. They figure they can win a close one if it's low-scoring. Pass for Ron Johnson. He couldn't hang on. Goes as an incomplete pass. But there was excellent coverage by David Shaw, who really is one of the outstanding corners in football.
Well, there's a 10-year veteran from Prairie View A&M, a former teammate of mine, and game in and game out, he does a great job on that corner. All Canadian this year, and comes up, makes the hits, and makes the interceptions, just does everything well.
He's going to let him have that little hitch pass and plenty of those receivers out there, isn't he?
Well, he's going to just hang back there and wait for it.
It's second down, 20 yards to go. The ball at the Hamilton 46-yard line. Here they come. And Brock goes deep. Rocky DiPietro makes the catch inside the 25-yard line. He got in behind Ken Haley, and Hamilton has the first really big play of this ball game. Rocky DiPietro, who caught the most passes on either of these clubs, 71 this year.
Good read by Dieter Brock. He saw the blitz coming, sent DiPietro down deep. The former All-Canadian Shenley winner makes just a fabulous catch.
And so the Ticats will have the first scoring opportunity. They put it into play at the Winnipeg 23-yard line. Brock's pass intended for Ron Johnson goes out of bounds. But as coaches like to say, they're within range of 3 right now. Let's not foul that up. Let's not take any losses, no penalties. And the worst we can come out of this is 3 points if Bernie Ruoff, who has been the hottest kicker in football of late, can come through.
Well, and I think that's in the back of Dieter Brock's mind when he gets into this kind of field position, to know that he's got such a great kicker coming off the bench.
8 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. It's still scoreless. Brock down the middle again. A big catch by Rocky DiPietro. Again, Ken Haley was there on the coverage.
Well, I tell you, Pat, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are getting caught a couple of times on these blitzes. They're bringing everybody. Watch their linebackers as they bring them all on this play, trying to get in there. And Dieter is dropping far enough back, which is sometimes a problem, finding his receiver, DiPietro, right over the middle once again. A good job by a much maligned offensive line of the Hamilton Ticats.
Hey, you know, Riggs, you bring up some good points. Hamilton has some outstanding football players. Dieter Brock threw more passes, more completions than anybody in the CFL this year. They've got guys who led the league in pass interceptions. Rocky DiPietro caught 71 passes, and he showed you why with the 2 receptions in this drive. First down, Ticats. The ball at the Winnipeg 13. This is Rufus Crawford, and Rufus will lose yardage back to about the 15-yard line as Aaron Brown was there to haul him down.
Pat, I'll tell you, a guy that really made that play, though, was Robinson, number 37. You'll see him as he comes out here. If we start this play up, he does not make the tackle, but watch him turn everything back in. Stop it right there. Watch Robinson, number 37. He does not make the stop, as I said, but he takes on a couple of the Ticat blockers and allows Brown to come in behind him.
So the loss was a couple. It is 2nd and 12. Hamilton at the Winnipeg 15. Touchdown, Dieter Brock. What a start for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And of course the knock on Dieter is that he doesn't run that much, that he isn't that agile back there. He runs it in from 15 yards out, and the underdogs are up by 6.
Well, excellent coverage downfield, and Dieter Brock just couldn't get it down to anybody, so tucks it under his arm, and what a super run to get the Ticats off to a great start.
Bernie Ruoff's point after is good. That should not come as a surprise. He was the Eastern Conference All-Star kicker and punter, and he has given the Hamilton Ticats a 7-0 lead with 6:57 left to play in the quarter.
Well, I think Dieter's got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a bit on edge right now, Lee, because they blitzed him a couple of times in a row, and he found DiPietro for completions, and they just tried to bring 4 people that time, and it opened up a big lane right down the middle, and Dieter knew what to do with it.
I'll guarantee you one thing. When he got to the 1-yard line, nobody was going to stop him.
That's for sure.
Bernie Ruoff is set to kick it off. And he just tops it down to about the 24-yard line. Aaron Brown with the return for the Blue Bombers out over the 30 to about the 33. Ed Gattavakis tripped him up at that point, but not bad strategy again by the Ticats. Why give Willard Reeves an opportunity to run it back? Let Aaron Brown do it himself. Art Darch, who's spotting here this afternoon for me, just pointed out, kind of reminiscent a little bit of 1981. The Ottawa Rough Riders jumped out in front of the Edmonton Eskimos. Could we have a repeat here today? Let's watch and see. Clemens' pass is picked up by Felix Wright. Felix Wright, the man who put the Hamilton Ticats in the Grey Cup, does it again right now as he intercepts Tom Clemens at the Winnipeg 35-yard line.
Well, Pat, he just did an excellent job. What they've been doing so well in the past few games is just sit back in that zone coverage, and they've got the necessary reaction time to get to that football. He sees Tommy going to the back, coming out of the backfield, comes out, but no doubt about that interception.
I think that ball floated a little bit. I just wonder if Tommy's rib injury is negating him being able to put something on that football. He's up there for an awful long time.
Ticats from the Winnipeg 35. They throw the screen. This is Braggignole. He had a lot of problems getting his footing, but you can't deny his determination because look at him drive inside the 25 to about the 22-yard line. and that'll be another Hamilton first down.
Well, that's a super job by the former University of Toronto fullback Mark Braganola, but a good call by Dieter Brock to try and nullify that pass rush. Just throw the screen, let those linemen get by you. Now Bragg's got some running room, does a good job to keep his feet there.
Ball is at the 22 of the Blue Bombers. First down, Hamilton. They lead at 7-0. And this is the draw to Johnny Shepard. Boy, these guys are determined today. As Shepard is inside the 15 to the 14, he'll have a pickup of about 8 yards as we go to Ernie Affiganis.
Felix right here. Felix on the interception. Are you guys playing something different down a different type of zone?
Well, we're trying to keep them all balanced, play a little zone, a little man, switch them up, not let them know what we're in.
Everybody seems to be very fired up here. I think there's a little animosity here.
Oh, with us, the Ticats, we don't have anything to lose, none at all.
Okay, good luck to you.
Okay, I'm Mom, Dad.
That's what we pointed out at the start of the game. The Ticats are loose. This is Braganola reaching for the 12-yard line, which is where the first down marker is. And we've got a timeout called by referee Ross Perrier as he takes a look at the sidelines and he signals that he wants the yardsticks to be brought in. 4:59 left to play in the opening quarter. The Hamilton Ticats, winners of 6 of their last 7 games against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who won 5 more games during the regular season than they did.
Well, it doesn't mean a darn thing now because it's a one-game shot that, you know, Hamilton's going to make the best of this opportunity.
Okay, it's 3rd and about a foot to go.
Any possibility of Dieter putting it in the air, Pat?
None at all. He'll carry the ball himself and get the first down because I've never seen him miss in a situation like this. If he puts it up, you're doing the play-by-play.
All right, go, Dieter. Keep your job, Pat.
He carries it himself and would appear to have the first down and does. And the other aspect that we should not lose sight of, Hamilton is keeping the ball away from that Winnipeg offense by controlling it themselves here.
We talked about the footing, Leaf, and the offensive line of the Hamilton Ticats looked like they were having no problem there. They got off the ball very well.
First down, Hamilton. The ball is at the Winnipeg 12-yard line. Brock quickly to Dwayne Jett. And Jett gets inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. Scott Flegel and Donovan Rose combine on the tackle. Pickup will be close to 5 yards.
Well, if Donovan Rose is going to consistently stay deep on Dwayne Jett, they can throw that kind of pass pattern and pick up some good positive yardage on first down.
3 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. Hamilton leading at 7-0 and trying to increase that margin right now. Brock puts it up. Touchdown, Rocky DiPietro.
He picked them, Leaf.
No call. Rocky DiPietro has been a big man in this football game. He set up that opening touchdown and now scores this one himself.
Well, Pat, what happened? Dwayne Jett came down in motion and picked off Ken Haley, who was supposed to have man-to-man coverage on Rocky DiPietro. That's an easy touchdown for him.
Bernie Ruoff's point after is good once again. If you've just joined us, hang on to your hat. The Hamilton Ticats are out in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 14-0, and we'll be back with the kickoff. 3 minutes, 36 seconds left to play in the opening quarter. Hamilton 14, Winnipeg nothing. And we're ready for the kickoff as we take a look one more time at the touchdown play.
What a factor Rocky's been in this ball game already. His 3rd reception right in front of Donovan Rose, and 14-0 lead by the Ticats.
Bernie Ruoff slips as he kicks the football. Scott Flegel handles it at the 38-yard line, crosses the 40 and fights his way to about the 44. Ruoff came up to the ball, and just as he was striking it, his foot slipped. Ernie?
Rocky DiPietro, the entire Hamilton team is off to an amazing start, Rocky. This is a great, you didn't expect anything like this, did you?
Nobody but us, I'll tell you. We came out, nobody was cheering for us. We know we got a couple fans in there, but we got to do it for ourselves. and we're ready right now. They're good. They're a good football team, though. Let's just take more than 14 points.
Thanks, Rocky.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, upstairs now.
So from the 44-yard line, Tom Clements on the move. Fires it out to Sean Keogh, and Keogh will have a Winnipeg first down up very close to midfield at about the 54-yard line before Felix Wright was able to get over and force him out of bounds.
Well, Riggs, that's a good offensive scheme for the Bombers because they put Boyd and Murphy to one side, send them deep, clear everybody out, and then they can dump it off to the running back out of the backfield. He's got some extra room.
And they rule that he stepped out just in front of that yardstick, so make it second down and inches to go for the first down. Tom keeps it himself as Clements crosses midfield into Hamilton territory, and that'll be their first chance at the football on Hamilton's side of midfield. And it comes with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in this first quarter. Field position has been the key thing. Hamilton took over twice at their 45, and then the next time they made the pass interception and took over at the 35. Pat Cantner has gone onto the field of play, but now Tom Clements has gone down on one knee, and we're going to have the training staff come out and attend to him as Tommy comes over to check with Pat Clayton.
Well, John Hufnagel obviously didn't see Tommy go down. He was still sitting on the bench. He's just now taking off his wrap and slipping on his helmet. I don't think the Bomber staff are going to have much of a chance to talk to him. It wouldn't appear that Clements has re-injured that.
I think it's a
just his contact lens. John Hufnagel will be in for at least one play.
Al, let's go to Al McCann.
Well, Tommy Clements has a contact lens problem, guys. He's just re-putting it in. Right now, the Bombers are scrambling madly to change their footwear, opting mainly to the broom ball shoe now.
Hufnagel's pass is complete to Pat Cantner, and the former UBC star is inside the Hamilton 40-yard line at about the 36, forced out by Gerald Best, but it's a big first down for Pat Cantner. Gain of 18 yards.
There's one thing about John Hufnagel, being a 12-year veteran in the Canadian Football League. He is not like a young quarterback coming in a ball game, just handing it off. He came in the BC Lion final game, and he threw it on the first play. He did so once again right here.
But you know, that's the same play they ran previously where they send everybody deep and just leak that back out of the backfield in. That's the kind of play they got to stick with. If Hamilton wants to stay deep in his own coverage, they can dump it off short and let that running back go. And I don't think they'll change anything until Hamilton makes a change defensively.
Howard Fields has left the playing area. Obviously, he's come down with something, and McIntyre, number 26, has come in to replace him. As you take a look at the first quarter statistics and look at the edge for the Ticats, but the Bombers are on the move. First down at the Hamilton 37.
Underneath again.
Pass is caught by Sean Keogh, and Keogh is inside the 30 at about the 28. Mark Streeter forced him out, number 20. So he'll come up about a yard short of the first down.
Leaf, let's point out exactly what you're talking about. The receivers on the wide side of the field going down there, clearing out, and coming underneath out in the flat area, which is what you mentioned twice. Both one side, once to the left side, went back to the right, now back to the left. The third play in a row, they've run essentially the same pattern.
Second down, a yard to go. They've got the short yardage offense in there for the Blue Bombers. And the give is to Willard Reeves. And look at Reeves explode to the 20, down to the 19, the 18-yard line. For the #1 player in Canadian football in 1984, Willard Reeves, winner of the Shenley Outstanding Player Award.
Pat, interestingly enough, they're bringing Tom Clements back in the ball game. John Hufnagel's been in there for 3 or 4 plays and had him on the move.
Well, he did a pretty good job. 2 for 2 passing, one handoff to Willard Reeves for another 10.
Every time Reeves carried the ball this year, he picked up an average of 5.7 yards. The pass for Sean Keogh, he jumped, but didn't come down with the football. So with exactly 30 seconds left to play in this opening quarter, the Blue Bombers would like to be able to put it in the end zone because they trailed 14-0.
Now here comes Tommy Clements right at you.
Oh, the ball's not really thrown that badly.
No, he could have maybe had that one, but This is in a position where they've got to try and maximize their opportunities. They want to pick up this first down and keep it going.
Clemens' throw is over the head of Jeff Boyd. Let's go to Ernie.
Just a report on Howard Fields. Apparently he had his contact lens fall out. They found it and getting it back in. Everything's okay.
Well, I'd say that's a Grey Cup record. Back-to-back contact lens problems.
Clemens had trouble with his footing here, as did Joe Poplawski and Boyd, two of the receivers downfield, and he takes a pretty good shot right there from Walker, number 61.
So that means that Trevor Kennard will try the 25-yard field goal, puts it up, and it is good. On what is the final play of the first quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers get on the board. But the Hamilton Ticats have surprised everybody. They lead it 14-3, and we'll be back shortly. Pat Marsden, Lee Pedersen, and Frank Rigney watching the Hamilton Ticats leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 14-3 as we begin play here in quarter number 2. The Ticats have elected to take the ball at their 35, and so they have a first down at that point. This is Johnny Shepard trying to get to the outside. Boy, you just cannot get any footing, and there was such excellent contain by that entire unit as Delbert Fowler, Aaron Brown, Ken Haley, they just wouldn't let him get to the outside.
I'll tell you what, they're fired up. Did you see Brown over the sideline? Wow.
Well, there's what happened.
They're going to come back.
In the first quarter of play, Hamilton surprisingly doubling the total offense 112-51, and look at Dieter Brock, 9 out of 11 in the passing. Second down, it'll be 15 to go. That's how many yards Shepard lost, 5 of them. They throw the quick screen to Dwayne Jett, but the ball goes right through his hands. And now, all of a sudden, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers starting to exert themselves defensively, and that will enable their offense to get half-decent field position after this punt.
Well, Pat, I think the key really in that first quarter and here on this first series in the second quarter is not to get yourself in trouble on first down. Each time both offenses have had second and long situations, they have not been able to convert. They've got to start getting that positive yardage on first down if they want to move the football.
So on 3rd and 15, Bernie Ruoff is set to punt, but the flag will come down. We'll have a time count violation against the Hamilton Ticats.
That was one of the few times, Leif, that Hamilton Ticats tried to run the ball on first down, and that's why they put themselves in such bad position. They, of course, lost 4 yards.
Scott Flagel rushed over and had a chat with head coach Cal Murphy.
Well, you know, they got called for the time count.
Hamilton, number 10.
As you hear Ross Perrier explain that, but I think they're a little nervous about Winnipeg because they're so famous for blocking punts. They want to make sure everybody's got their assignment right.
And Bernie has had trouble handling the footing on the field. So let's see what he does here on 3rd and 20. Gets an excellent pass from center. And the kick is away. Bouncing down to Nellis. And Wayne Lee runs into him at the Winnipeg 53-yard line, and that's where the Blue Bombers are going to put it into play offensively when we come back. That's the score, surprisingly maybe, but the Hamilton Ticats are out in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 14-3. Well, we say hello to everybody across the country and tell you how much we enjoyed doing the Canadian Football League in 1984 and really enjoying this football game with 13:51 left to play in this second quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the highest scoring team in Canada in 1984. The Ticats were the 7th best. First down, Bombers at their 53-yard line. This is Willard Reeves. Reeves had trouble with the footing, but he got in to the Hamilton 50-yard line as we go to Al McCann.
Linebacker Ty Joe's kind of a bad start for you guys. You had real good control of your footing in Winnipeg 2 weeks ago. Is it tougher here?
It's a little bit tougher. The field, the grass is a little different than the grass that we have in Winnipeg, but right now we're just having a little bit of trouble with it, but it's not going to make a difference in the game.
Okay, Ty.
All right.
Pickup was 7 yards at second down, 3 yards to go. Bombers. Clemens' pass is picked up by Mark Streeter. And Streeter is tackled by Tom Clemens, but he's in at the Winnipeg 32-yard line. First Felix Wright in the first quarter, now Mark Streeter here early in the second, and the Ticats are back in business offensively.
Well, Frank, that's simply a ball. It just shouldn't have been thrown. Tommy far too late in that delivery out to Sean Kehoe. Mark Streeter in the zone coverage comes up, reads it, easy interception.
And he does not have that much on the ball. I'm really surprised that they're leaving him in there. John Hufnagel looked very effective in his 4 or 5 plays. Tommy does not look like he can throw it hard.
So the Ticats have a first down as Brock throws to DiPietro again. And DiPietro is into the 17, but there is a flag on the play. Offside, Hamilton. The ball will come back.
Tough break for the Ticats. Dieter reading the blitz once again, and quick slant to Rocky, but all for naught.
Must have been Dwayne Jett because you saw Dieter.
Offside, Hamilton, number 7. First down repeated.
It was Dwayne Jett, and Dieter just gave him the finger and said, now let's look at the ball.
The master of that kind of pattern, Leafs, our buddy, will be doing his second half. Ron Lancaster. How many times did he complete that one? Countless.
Back to the 37-yard line on first down. A flag is down. This is Mark Bragignola. And Bragignola is inside the 25 to about the 23, and now a late flag comes down. We've got a couple of penalties. Offside Winnipeg. And rough play Winnipeg.
Well, I know Aaron Brown, number 52, jumped offside initially, couldn't get back, but that rough play is really going to help the Ticat cause here. Cal, you got to be a little concerned. Down 14-3, and the Ticats putting another march together.
Mind you, when you talk about the #1 offensive team in Canada, they've got a lot of time. 12:25 left to play here in the second quarter, but you're right. Any coach would be concerned, down 11 points, and the other fellows getting a first down inside your 15-yard line. Here's the call.
Offside, Winnipeg, declined. Major foul, unnecessary roughing, Winnipeg. First down.
So what they do is they took the gain, and then they also took the rough play. The ball is down to the 12.5-yard line of the Blue Bombers. The Ticats are banging on the door once again. Let's see if the Bombers can close it this time. The pass intended for Dwayne Jett was no good. Donovan Rose on the coverage of Dwayne Jett on that occasion.
Well, you can see just how bad the footing is down there, particularly on some areas of the field. Both Rose and Jett went down.
I think you have to give Dieter a little credit, though. He saw Rose sneaking in on the inside hip of Jett and threw it to the outside. Both guys couldn't come up with the catch.
You're looking at the #2 defense in the country right now, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A pass looking for DiPietro is over his head, and the Bombers really come up tough on those 2 downs, and so we will see Bernie Ruoff.
But the thing to remember, Dieter Brock, nobody to throw to, threw it completely away, so at least they're going to have an opportunity for Bernie Ruoff to come in the game and add to their lead. That's the key. No mistakes when you get down in good scoring position.
It'll be a 20-yard attempt by Bernie Ruoff, who has been in such a groove of late. It's unbelievable. And it is good. And so with 11 minutes and 31 seconds left to play in the second quarter, the Hamilton Ticats lead the Blue Bombers 17-3. 17-3, the Hamilton Ticats lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 11 minutes, 31 seconds left to play in the second quarter. The kickoff to the 25-yard line is returned by Pat Cantner. Cantner just fights his way over the 40 to about the 44-yard line. Mark Streeter was there to bring him down. But the Blue Bombers, trailing by 14 points, have to get something going now. Tom Clemens remains at quarterback, and they will put the ball into play at their own 44-yard line. 122 yards for Hamilton, 58 for Winnipeg. But the big stat is the score, 17-3. Clements, it's complete to Joe Poplawski in at the Hamilton 39-yard line.
Well, you always wonder how a quarterback's going to come back after throwing a big interception. Well, Tom Clements answered it on that play as he got the necessary time when he was able to roll out and finally pick out a receiver.
Jerome Erdman is in the ball game, number 29, in place of Rick House, as the Blue Bombers have possession at the Hamilton 39 with a first down. They fake the draw to Reeves. Clemens puts it up, but it's out of bounds. It was caught by James Murphy 5 yards outside of the playing area.
A little crisscross action between Joe Poplawski and James Murphy. By the time Tommy got out on that rollout, just too late for Murphy to stay in bounds.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Winnipeg at the Hamilton 39-yard line. Clements fires it over the middle. It was intended for Rick House, broken up by Ben Zambiazzi, the middle linebacker.
Boy, what a great job he does of following him across the line of scrimmage.
He's normal. The temperature when we awoke this morning was 15 below zero. It has climbed up a little bit. This fellow looked like us about 3 months ago, I think. So the field goal try will come from the 46-yard line. Trevor Kennard's attempt is good from 46 yards away. Trevor Kennard is good on his second straight field goal, and so the Hamilton lead has been cut to 17-6. We've got 10 minutes, 2 seconds left to play in the first half. The Hamilton Ticats have surprised the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and lead at 17-6. And now Hamilton will get the ball back because they have elected to make the Blue Bombers kickoff from their 35-yard line. Rufus Crawford and Paul Bennett are deep for Hamilton. Kennard puts it high. Crawford on the run, takes it at the 25-yard line and steps out of bounds right at that point.
Pat, that was rather expensive because after Kennard's first field goal, the Hamilton Ticats took the ball at the 35-yard line. This time they only get to the 25.
That's a great kick by Trevor Kennard. Also, that 46-yard field goal in these kind of conditions was a tremendous kick, but no question he angled that ball towards the sidelines and did a great job.
Good job by Dieter Brock so far. As you see, 10 out of 15 in completions. And this time, though, he needs a couple of first downs. Fires it for Bragagnola, but it was behind him. He tried to bring it down with one hand and could not.
I believe they're taking a page out of the Winnipeg Blue Bomber book, exactly the same kind of pattern that Winnipeg has had their limited success on, taking people deep and running out of the backfield. You'll see the receivers coming out and trying to hit that flat area. That has been Winnipeg's favorite pass pattern.
Well, he couldn't connect with Mark Bragagnola, but it just goes to show you what we talked about earlier. They're trying to get some good yardage on first down and not find themselves in long passing situations.
So Brock goes back to the shotgun once again. And now fires looking for Crawford, and this one is picked off by David Shaw. David Shaw with the first turnover for the Blue Bombers, and he will give Winnipeg possession at the Hamilton 28-yard line. Crawford is still down. Crawford was the intended pass receiver. David Shaw just stepped in front at the last moment.
Well, he caught them in a 3-deep zone. That's the kind of pass pattern to run down the seams. But David Shaw, the 10-year veteran, read it perfectly, left his man, reacted to the football, and he's got the Bombers in great scoring position.
Scott Flagel was the one who put the lick on Rufus Crawford, and Crawford is still down.
But, you know, that was a great test because that was the right pass pattern to call against that defense. It's just that David Shaw just did an outstanding job.
As you look at Rufus Crawford, let me remind you once again that this man set a Canadian Football League record this year for total yardage, eclipsing a mark that had been established by one of the all-time greats, Hal Patterson. And now the Blue Bombers are back in business. We've got 9 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the second quarter. Hamilton leads it 17-6, but the Blue Bombers can really narrow the gap right now. First down at the Hamilton 28-yard line. The draw goes to Willard Reeves. And Reeves is down to about the 21 by Grover Covington, who cut the legs out from under him. Al?
David Shaw, defensive corner, great interception. David, tell me about it.
Thank you. It was in a cover 3. I got the deep third, and it ran what's called a seam route. I played a lot outside. He thought he had it open, and he kind of laid the ball in instead of zipping it and gave him a chance to come around and get the ball.
Could be a key play. You got to turn this around, eh?
I hope so. I'm going to try my best to turn around today.
Okay.
This is Willard Reeves down to the 15-yard line. He'll have a Winnipeg first down.
Great job by that offensive line firing off the football now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Big Nick Mastaya, number 65, leading the way that time.
Frank Rigney, you played in some of the great Grey Cup games between these two teams, and this one is shaping up to be just that again.
First one I ever played in, Pat, we fell behind 14-0 in about 3 minutes against the Ticats.
They swing it out to Sean Keogh. Keogh gets by Esrins and is inside the 5 to about the 3-yard line.
Boy, are they effectively, both teams, using those backs coming out of the backfield.
Well, Tommy Clements, being the veteran quarterback that he is, the Ticats are not going to blitz, and they're going to drop everybody out. Well, heck, I'm just going to throw it out to my running back, Sean Kehoe, and if he can get by someone, he's got a big gain. He gets by Leo Esrins right here, and they're on the move.
He's got footing there. He might have scored.
Poplawski and House are out of there. Vernon Paul and Pat Kantner are in at short yardage offense. First down. Willard Reeves, the ball carrier. Touchdown, Blue Bombers. There is a flag on the play. Let's wait and see if Willard Reeves' touchdown stands. It appeared as though the Ticats were offside. Here's the call. Offside, Hamilton. The touchdown by Willard Reeves will stand.
Pat, you talked about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers bringing in their short yardage offense. Watch for block by Vernon Paul, the only guy in the Canadian Football League that I know of from the University of PEI. He just stacks it up right at the left side. Kehoe hardly has to make a block for Reeves to get in the end zone.
The point after by Kennard is good. And so, with 7 minutes and 32 seconds left to play in the second quarter of what has been just a terrific football game, the Hamilton Ticats are now clinging to a 17-13 lead. It was 17-3 at one time.
Well, I'm impressed, Frank, with the way the Blue Bombers have come back. They fell behind early, but really, Tommy Clements, and you know what's done it? I think field position. He's been able to operate with excellent field position.
There's what Willard Reeves has done all season long. He will give that ball to a runner now to take it into an area, who will now give it to somebody who's in a disabled area of the stadium. Willard Reeves has really been a super community-oriented person, and now he continues a tradition that he has established all of this year. The kickoff by Trevor Kennard. Johnny Shepard in there in place of Rufus Crawford, takes it at his 14 and has nowhere to go. He's upended as he gets to the 16-yard line by Pat Kantner.
Pat, what a great job Kennard has done in kicking that football off the last couple of times. The last time Crawford had to go out at the 25. This time they're out at the 17-yard line.
Well, let's see who was fortunate enough to come up with the football for Willard Reeves' touchdown. There you see, into the disabled area, as the Ticats now know they've got to get something going. Brock throws the screen to Bragignola. And Bragignola fights his way to about the 19-yard line. He'll only pick up a couple of yards, primarily because Delbert Fowler played it so well.
Well, we saw Rufus Crawford leave the ball game on that last series. I've been informed he has a bruised hip, but is back in the ball game, so it mustn't be bothering him too much.
John Gregory, the assistant coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A little advice on the sideline. I tell you, he has a lot of respect. He's the offensive line coach of the Bombers.
Second down, 8 yards to go. Hamilton. Brock's pass complete to DiPietro over the 25-yard line initially. He was at about the 26. Now the placement of the ball is all important because the yard marker is at about the 27.5-yard line.
He's going to be a half to a yard short. Interesting decision here, Pat.
They bring the sticks out.
If he's close to a yard, I think Hamilton has to kick it.
Yeah, I would say if he is within the yard, because Dieter is so good at that quarterback sneak, you've got to think he'll go. But boy, they are.
Oh, he's a good yard.
Full yard.
On this field, a very difficult decision. I think Al is doing the right thing. Kick it away.
Well, you're right. Here comes Bernie Ruoff. They're about a yard and a half short of that first down marker.
Well, Al, you made the right choice because you're not going to take a chance at this stage of the ballgame to give it up so deep in your own territory. Kick it away.
And this stage of the ballgame is 6:24 left to play in the second quarter. Hamilton leads it by 4 points, 17-13. Hangs it up there. And it bounces to Kevin Nellis at his 43-yard line. Nellis puts his head down and crosses the 50 to about the 52-yard line. And Gadavakis was there to make the tackle. The 41-yard punt was returned 9 yards, and so again the Blue Bombers come up with very good field position. They've had good field position in this second quarter. They did not in the first 15 minutes.
Pat, I think it's a real key because Tom Clements can really diversify his offense here. He doesn't have to be too careful bringing out of his own end.
Clemens' pass is complete to Sean Keogh. And Keogh gets into Hamilton territory at about the 48-yard line, and that may be enough for the first down as Felix Wright forced him out.
Well, Pat, once again, Tom Clements, three-man pattern, short side of the field. What he does is he puts number 28, Felix Wright, in a bind. If Felix Wright goes back, he throws it to the running back coming out of the backfield. If Felix Wright comes up, he'll throw it a little deeper. So he really plays a game with that inside safety. Right now, the Bombers are winning.
Bombers right now have a first down at the Hamilton 48-yard line. This is Willard Reeves. Reeves is inside the 45 to about the 44. Leo Ezrins. And also Leon Lescavage was in there.
Little misdirection play with the mountain man coming down from Chris Walby from his right tackle position. 280 pounds. I don't know if you noticed him out there, Pat, but he has no sleeves on at all. He didn't even think it's cool.
Tell you what, he's a house that runs.
It's second down and a long 5 yards to go. Clements over the middle to Reeves. Reeves has the first down to the Hamilton 35-yard line. Leo Ezrins chopped him down at that point.
Well, what they do is cross the running back, Sean Keogh and Willard Reeves. That freezes the linebackers just enough if there's an opening across there. And once again, Tom Clements putting another drive together.
First down, Winnipeg at the Hamilton 35. Clements complete to Rick House. House has the first down and struggles his way to about the 16-yard line. Felix Wright finally brings him down, but it's another big gain for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of 19 yards.
Good time to throw the football for Tommy Clements. You know, Leaf, I think you were right, and I wasn't. I don't think there's anything wrong with Clements' arm. He was just getting rid of that ball a little slow. His timing was off because he delivered that one.
Well, he stepped up in the pocket, and the key was, as you said, the time to throw.
Willard Reeves on first down. And Reeves is into about the 12-yard line. He'll have a pickup of about 4. Leo Ezrins and Grover Covington were there to bring him down. But you know, the great composure shown by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is one of the impressive factors here in this second quarter. They trailed, but they didn't panic, and now they're on the verge of taking the lead for the first time in the ball game. They have second down and 6 to go from the Hamilton 12. There was movement by the Ticats. Clemens fires complete to Joe Poplawski. Touchdown, Winnipeg. It was offside. Hamilton, the touchdown will stand, and the Blue Bombers have the lead for the very first time. This is Grey Cup 84 from Edmonton. Leonard's point after was good. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are out in front for the very first time. A count of 20-17 with 3:02 left to play in this second quarter. It's been a terrific football game.
Well, I tell you what, Pat, this crowd, which is primarily Western, of course, was very quiet in the first quarter of this ball game. It is no longer, but it's great to see veteran quarterbacks, how effectively they use their passing game. Watch Joe Poplawski as he comes down and across, and the amazing thing about this pattern, a very difficult one for the linebackers to cover, but Tommy Clemens had a guy pulling him down as he delivered the football. Watch Joe come underneath. Stop it right there, and you'll see 71. Joe right here, being covered by a linebacker, a very difficult thing to do.
Well, it sure is. That's Leo Ezrins, and he just can't stay with him, Frank. And it's a good block to spring him finally into the end zone.
I'll tell you, a man who's been very important in this game is Trevor Kennard, particularly on his kickoffs, because he has kept Hamilton on the sideline. This time he kicks it deep to Crawford at his 6. And Crawford is upended as he gets over the 20 to about the 23. Tyrone Jones was there to cut him down. But the entire first quarter, the Ticats had excellent field position. As a result, they were able to capitalize and score some points. This second quarter, Winnipeg has enjoyed that field position, and they are the ones who have gotten on the scoreboard.
Well, Frank, I think this is really a critical series of downs for the Ticats because they've seen the momentum slip away from them. They've got to try and reestablish something.
Flood formation to the right.
The screen to Dwayne Jett. Jett gets to the 25 or 26-yard line for a pickup of about 4. Delbert Fowler, number 72, brought him down. Fowler, of course, previously with Montreal, he ended up going to the Blue Bombers in the deal that sent Ken Cianconi to the Concords.
Well, a play that's so popular with every club in the CFL this year. Quick screen to the wide receiver, try and get a couple of blocks and break him free, but he was only managed 3 yards.
Brock over the middle. A flag comes down. Interference will be the call on Scott Flagel. And there is no doubt about that when he came right over the intended receiver, Rocky DiPietro.
That's all right, though, Pat. I'll tell you what, he's an aggressive safety. He'll come up and try to knock that football down. That's going to happen once in a while. But I wouldn't, if I was a coach, I wouldn't tell him to lay off a bit.
No, but I'll tell you, Hamilton is delighted with the call, too, because they need to
keep the ball alive. That's right. 2:34 remaining now in this first half.
They have possession at their 33-yard line with a first down. Brock is drilled. The ball comes loose. It is picked up, and it is alive. Touchdown, Stan McCowis, number 75. Tyrone Jones got through to hit quarterback Dieter Brock. The ball was picked up by the nose guard, Stan McCowis, and he goes all the way for the major score.
You know, Leaf, once again, Dieter Brock trying to take advantage of those cornerbacks of Winnipeg playing so deep. Watch Donovan Rose down at the bottom of your screen. What he doesn't see is the other 2 defenders moving up to the outside. They cut off any path to throw the football out there, and just as he's about to deliver it, he gets a shot from the back. Well, what a big play for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
He had to wait that extra split second, and that afforded Tyrone Jones the opportunity to come in and put the hit on him.
Trevor Kennard's point after is good once again, but the roof has fallen in on the Hamilton Ticats here in the second quarter. And now the Blue Bombers lead it by 10, 27-17. And let's take a look at it again, fellas.
Well, you watch him waiting. That extra split second. Ty Jones with the hit. Stan McCowis, a happy young defensive lineman. Not too often you get a chance to cross that goal line with the ball in your hands.
Certainly not in a Grey Cup, but it was a change up of the defense by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I think it allowed them to get in on Brock.
Let's go to Al McCann.
I got Joe Bukowski here, who scored the second last touchdown. Joe, that was a great underneath pattern you ran there, but now you guys are getting them like grapes.
Well, I think our defense is starting to figure out what Hamilton's offense is doing. They're using that quick hitch to perfection, actually, in the first quarter, and that one turnover has really helped us.
Were you a little worried there in the early going?
You have to be worried when you're playing against Dieter in the Hamilton offense and defense, yes.
Big throw for Stan, that touchdown.
Boy, we talk about the roof falling in. Rufus Crawford made the catch, could not control his feet, and was stepped out of bounds inside the 5-yard line.
Well, in all fairness to Rufus, he has to make the catch, because if that ball hits, you never know, it may stay in bounds. So he had to do it, but Trevor Kennert's certainly been a key, I think, Pat, in this first half with those well-placed kicks.
We still have 2 minutes and 25 seconds left to play in the first half, and now Winnipeg leads it by 10, 27-17, and are starting inside their 5-yard line. Brock passes inside to Bragagnola, and he gets out over the 10 to about the 11. That's an important gain, because at least it gives them some breathing room. They pick up 8 yards. It'll be 2nd and 2.
Well, the key once again, when you're backed up like this, just don't give up that football, as what happened on the last series. Don't fumble, don't throw an interception, and if the worst thing you have to do is punt, well, then that's not too bad.
Second down, 2 yards to go. Will they run it with Bragagnola?
There's a mix-up in the back there for sure.
Absolutely, they'll be punting now because the backs went one way. Dieter had to end up keeping the ball and slipped down at the 10.
Guys, didn't look like Brock was, not just on that down, but on the first down as well. He was having trouble communicating to his offensive team.
There's no question the crowd noise in Commonwealth Stadium certainly picked up with the resurgence of the Bombers, but the last time Crawford came in motion like that, they pitched it back to him. The whole play just got fouled up.
Winnipeg's going to have at least another minute and a half to try to add to their lead in this first half.
Ernie Ruoff is inside his goal area to punt here on 3rd and 4.
And he's going to be kicking off that painted area down there that is really the slipperiest part of the field.
This one is handled by Sean Keogh. And Keogh is inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. And but for Mark Bragagnola, who made the tackle, Keogh would have gone the distance.
You have to give the Winnipeg Blue Bombers credit. They've done the things necessary in this first half to succeed, because they put 3 men back to field that punt, so it's not going to hit the ground. Sean Keogh, normally not the punt returner out there, but he made the catch and an excellent return.
Football is such a wonderful game, though. It can turn around so quickly. There it was, 14-0 in the first quarter, Hamilton leading, and now the Blue Bombers are threatening to blow them away. First down at the 8-yard line. The give is to Willard Reeves. But Reeves will be dropped for a loss by Felix Wright back at about the 12 or 13-yard line. That'll be a loss of close to 5 yards.
And Pat, I want fans across Canada to know that at the commercial break at 17-3, you turned to me and said, "You guys out west don't really play it very tough this time of year, do you?"
I just tried to let a little fire under there.
I think Pat,
you did a good job.
I think Pat was hoping you'd forget that one.
So let's see what Clemens goes to now on 2nd and 13 yards to go for the touchdown. Throws it into the middle. Touchdown. No, they say that he dropped the football. Jeff Boyd is really irate. He felt that he had made the catch. Now we've got a little shoving going on. Boyd is number 70. Tommy really bought some time by rolling out, waiting to the last moment. He fired it into the end zone, but it's ruled an incompleted pass.
Well, Frank, let's have another look at it. I honestly believe he was going for number 21, James Murphy, but Jeff Boyd got in the way, or Murphy slipped down. And let's see if we can catch it from this camera
I
angle.
think Murphy went down. I really do, Leaf. I think you're right.
So we will have a field goal try by Trevor Kennard of about 19 yards.
As he had an afternoon so far, perfect in the field goal department and just doing a great job of pinning Hamilton on his with his kickoff.
And again, Trevor Kennard is good. So with 57 seconds left to play in the second quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bomber lead is now 13 points. It's 30-17.
Well, let's go back and have one more look at that attempted pass completion to number 70, Jeff Boyd, working across the field. Sees Tom Clements in trouble. Now, you folks at home be the judge. There comes the ball. It's bobbled in, comes loose. That's a great call by the officials.
The officials have really done an outstanding job in handling this football game. Hasn't been that tough to do because there haven't been that many controversial calls, but boy, they've been on top of everything. Mind you, that's why they're working in this ball game, because they're the best. And again, the Ticats are going to ask the Blue Bombers to kick it off.
I'd take that ball to 35.
Oh, I would too.
They haven't been up that far for an awful long time.
Well, they've made a bit of an adjustment, putting Johnny Shepard back in that deep area where Trevor Kennard has been kicking the ball. There's Rufus Crawford over there as well, but they've got to try and defend again. That's turned into an offensive weapon.
Boy, this ball game's going up, and they're liable to run it all the way back. This is it back and forth. 47 points.
Again, this is Rufus Crawford from his 18-yard line. And this time he gets out over the 35 to about the 37. So with just 52 seconds left to play in the second quarter, you've got to think that Dieter is going to try to air it out.
Oh, sure. He wants to try and get some points back. He's seen that lead slip away. And Cal, you've got to be pleased. Your team's come back, and they're playing super football right now. Tommy Clements, well, he's had a good first half, too. A couple of interceptions early, but certainly atone for those.
The screen is set up for Johnny Shepard. Shepard with some good running gets to the 49-yard line for a Hamilton first down before he's brought down by Frank Robinson. It was 14-3 at the end of the first quarter for Al Bruno and his Hamilton Ticats, but right now it's 30-17. Blue Bombers are out in front of the Ticats with 40 seconds left to play in the quarter. This is Mark Bragignola. And Braggs has nowhere to go. He's brought down after a pickup of about a yard.
Well, he was trying to get out of bounds to kill that clock, but Delbert Fowler and Donovan Rose did a good job to keep him in bounds.
And Don Whitman has just pointed out to me that those 27 Winnipeg points in this second quarter is a Grey Cup record, most points ever scored in a quarter. The flag is down as the pass is caught by Dwayne Jett out of bounds. There is a marker on the field.
Well, Dwayne Jett was offside. That's what the marker's down for. Second time in this game that he's jumped offside.
Well, it's nice to be enthusiastic, but it's no good if you're going to get penalized for it.
Offside, Hamilton, number 7. Declined, third down.
So with just 26 seconds left to play in the quarter, and third and about 8 yards to go, Bernie Ruoff and the Hamilton punting unit comes out. And this time, the Blue Bombers send 3 men deep. Scott Flagel now joins Sean Keogh and Kevin Nellis.
A little surprising they're not going after Ruoff, although there's only 26 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, I think they're thinking, don't let Bernie throw it or run it, too.
Oh, Bernie dropped it.
He missed the football when he went to kick it. Now he does get it away. And Nellis picks it up and goes down inside his 20 at about the 18-yard line. Well, you don't see that too often.
No. I'd like to see what Bernie did there.
Well, I think we're gonna get a chance to have a look at it again. Bernie just said, well, I'm gonna kick it. No, I'm not gonna kick it.
Oh, he slipped. Yeah. He slipped and couldn't get his foot up there to hit it.
He does a pretty good job to get back outside and eventually get it away.
Twice he's had problems kicking the ball on his first punt, but he's really gotten it away very well on the 2 occasions.
So the Blue Bombers start from their 18-yard line. They won't be fancy here. They're just going to run out this clock, and why not? Because they've had such a sensational second quarter. They had all that adversity in the first 15 minutes and now scored 27 points in this second quarter of play to have a comfortable 13-point lead at the half.
Well, it's the mark of a championship team, Pat. You know that. Just to be patient and wait for your opportunities, because sooner or later you're going to get them.
And that's it, the end of the second quarter of play, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have shown why they are the Western champions. At the end of the first half, the score, Winnipeg 30, Hamilton 17. We'll be back with our halftime show in just a moment.
Well, it's 30-17, Winnipeg leading Hamilton to start the second half. When you look back during the course of regular season play, the Bombers have run up some big figures. 42-20 over Hamilton, 45-15 over Montreal, 46-17 over Ottawa, 48-28 over Saskatchewan, 65-25 over Ottawa, 48-16 over Hamilton, 46-8 over Calgary, and they blitzed Edmonton 55-20 in the semifinal game.
Well, we said all along that Winnipeg offense looks like it was designed for Tom Clements, and he's starting to execute it as he did in that second quarter. Big series coming for Hamilton right now.
Starting the second half, Trevor Kenner trying to kick the ball into that hole as he did so well during the first half. This time, however, it bounces out of bounds in front of Rufus Crawford. Leo, as we were watching the first half, you made a comment about the job Trevor Kenner has done on those kickoffs.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's placed the ball well, and the luck of the roll, Rufus Crawford on a couple occasions waited until the last moment to field the ball, and then just because of the field conditions, he had to slip and slide and go out of bounds, and it gave Hamilton real bad field position. They got themselves in the hole a couple of times, and Winnipeg capitalized on it.
Well, it's interesting that 3 Winnipeg players born in Edmonton, Sean Kehoe, Joe Poplawski, and Trevor Kenner, have all played a key role so far for Winnipeg. Dieter Brock will have to get that right arm going in the second half if the Ticats are to come back. Again, they kick it into that same spot to Rufus Crawford. Crawford trying to come down those sidelines. He got a couple of blocks and fought his way to the 40-yard line. Pretty good field position for the Ticats to start their first offensive series of this third quarter.
Well, they need some breathing room right now. They've got the wind to their advantage. And Brock, as you said on this series here, it's a very instrumental series as far as the whole second half is concerned.
The big thing he doesn't want to do is try to get it all at once.
Well, Dieter Brock is experienced. He does have the patience. They've been throwing a lot of screens, not only in this game, but in their playoff encounters against Montreal and Toronto. He's trying to go for broke down the sideline to Dwayne Jett. He makes the catch, but was out of bounds.
Well, I think we're going to see that he did go out of bounds on this, but I think that if Jett, in his concentration looking for that ball there, if he would have maybe checked the inbounds marker there, that he could have made the adjustment. He caught the ball and then never did look down.
That's pretty good coverage by the defender. You know what you always tell them? Run the ball, or run your pattern, but the 5 yards from in the field to the sideline belongs to the quarterback. That's where he throws it, to the sidelines. It's up to the receiver to adjust.
Wayne Jett activated for this Grey Cup game following the injury to Steve Stapler in the final with Toronto. Oh, Brock was hit just as he threw. The ball bounced up into the arms of a lineman, and immediately Tony Norman was there to make the hit. Now, that ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage. Brock, while he was in the process of throwing, was hit.
And I don't think at any time there was an eligible pass receiver connected with this pass. He got the ball jolted out of his hands, as you'll see right here just in a moment. When the ball, it hit an offensive lineman first, and then it reflected off of the offensive lineman to another one, so it was an illegal pass.
An illegal receiver, an ineligible receiver, as Aaron Brown, number 52, came burning through from his linebacking position.
Ineligible receiver, Hamilton, number 54. Declined, third down.
Ross Francis was the player who caught the ball. Bernie Ruoff has been having problems with his punting. Not so much with kicking the ball, but with his footing.
I'll tell you one thing, I think in the war of the footing out here this afternoon, that Winnipeg is winning because Hamilton has really been slipping and sliding around. Well, Winnipeg has had pretty good success in keeping their footing.
Good kick by Ruoff. Kevin Nellis on the punt return is brought down at the 35-yard line. There's also a penalty flag on the play, and we'll sort it all out for you in just a moment. On that Kevin Neal's punt return, an illegal block was thrown by Ken Haley. That takes the ball back to the 19, and that's where the Blue Bombers will scrimmage 1st and 10, their first offensive series of the third quarter.
And, you know, throughout the entire football game, I don't think we've ever started from this far deep in this end of the field. And let's see if they can get it out of there. That's key. Hamilton needs to come out and stop them if they're going to get things going.
I'm kind of anxious, Ron, to see this second half, whether the Hamilton Tiger Cats adjust their linebackers a little bit and get some help on the outside. They've been playing inside tight, anticipating that running game with Reeves. As a result, that short passing game of Winnipeg's has been awful good.
Pass complete to James Murphy, first down at the 38. I think James Murphy and Jeff Boyd are the two underrated wide receivers in the CFL.
Well, I'll tell you, they do a great job, and they have all year. But you see Clements is coming away from here, and he's just coming across the middle looking for a hole in front of the safety man. He makes the catch, they make the hit, but it's a big, big first down, and they're almost to midfield, so they are moving the football.
A 19-yard gain on the completion to James Murphy. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 38. The screen to James Murphy. He doesn't have any help over there as the Hamilton Tiger Cats were prepared for. Walker and Covington both dropped out with James Murphy, and there'll be a loss of 2 on the play.
That didn't look like a very well executed play. Watch Tom throw it at it. Almost looks like a lateral. It takes a great catch by Murphy. And if you're going to throw that, he has to catch it and be heading upfield right now.
It's kind of a dangerous play on this slippery field today, too, because if you make one little misjudgment out there, the other team can have the ball.
2nd and 12. The ball is at the Winnipeg 36. The Bombers lead 30-17. Play just underway in the third quarter. Clements trying to buy some time, and now he can't find that open receiver, and he is dropped at the line of scrimmage by Mike Walker.
Well, they had Kehoe wide open again quickly out in the flat, and it's the same adjustment that Hamilton had trouble with in the first half. They're playing their linebackers in so tight, anticipating Reeves on the running game, that they're not getting any help out there in the flat immediately. As you see Tommy roll to the outside. Kehoe was open quick, but he didn't see him. Then he pulled the ball down and tried to make something out of it, and the pursuit just caught him.
Bob Cameron stands at his own 24-yard line for this third down kick. Fielded by Crawford at his 35. Crawford picked up a couple of blocks, one of them from Paul Bennett, and he fought his way across the 45 and was forced out of bounds at about the 48. A 36-yard kick by Bob Cameron.
Well, this field is a real contrast here in terms of the wind. At one end of the field, it looks like it's blowing one way, and the other end of the field, the other. This guy here has made all that yardage this year and done so many things, and he can make the big play, and if a couple big plays, and Hamilton could be right back in this ball game.
1st and 10, the ball at the 48. The Ticats in possession. They trail by 13 points. Brock sidearms it to Dwayne Jett. He is taken out of bounds with a pickup of 8, forced out of bounds by Donovan Rose.
He's out of bounds by Donovan Rose.
This is that read pattern Brock likes to throw. Look inside the DiPietro. If he's not there, see what's going on, because Jett goes downfield about 14 yards and turns to the inside. Brock has time, he finds him. So he's got 3 reads there, inside, flat, and finally this man. He's the 3rd receiver on that pattern.
They rule that Donovan Rose forced Dwayne Jett out of bounds after a 6-yard pickup. That pass intended for Johnson on the other side of the field. He had trouble with his footing, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats are forced into a punting situation.
Well, this field is so contrasting, you just don't know what to do. He's got broomball shoes on, and you'd think that he'd be able to hold his footing a lot better than that, but both feet went out from under him again.
I sometimes question the wisdom of blowing hot air under that tarpaulin, particularly when the temperature is below freezing, because once that tarp is removed, the field freezes because of the moisture that is there.
Well, talking to Cal Murphy, he felt Clark Stadium was in better shape.
Clark Stadium, adjacent to Commonwealth Stadium, is where the two teams practice during the week.
And all they did there was remove the snow cover. The ball bounces to Kevin Nealis. He had a little difficulty picking it up, and he is down at the 22-yard line. So again, the Bombers will scrimmage deep in their own zone. They lead at 30-17 with 10:33 remaining in the third quarter. Don Whitman along with Leo Cahill and Ron Lancaster at our broadcast position. It's been a fun week in Edmonton. Grey Cup week 1984. And those in attendance, 60,000 at Commonwealth Stadium, still enjoying the festivities.
Well, Don, I'll tell you one thing. They said that it couldn't be done, that it was a bad mistake to have the Grey Cup in Edmonton. It was too cold. It was too everything else. Naturally, it is cold, but it's a real tribute to the Canadian people and the fans to come out here and enjoy this ball game, and they're all here.
1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. Handoff to Willard Reeves. He was hit immediately. I think it was Mitchell Price who got a hand in there to pull Willard Reeves down. In our pregame show, we talked about Willard Reeves and his running ability, but it's Grover Covington run.
It sure was. He just slanted down hard from the outside, and he got in there before he could be blocked. And you get into that backfield, you cause problems.
All the success the first half has been with those passes in the flat, and I would expect to see Tommy going to them again, throwing to the backs out of the backfield.
There it is to Willard Reeves. He won't get the first down. Ezerans and Wright made sure of that.
2nd down at 10. Great defense to play. Just drop back in the zone, force him to throw the swing pass. He catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage. That means he's got 12 yards to run for a first down. Chances of making it are pretty slim. Watch how deep Willard Reeves has to swing. Now he catches it. Now he's at the line of scrimmage, and he needs 10 yards. You shouldn't make it. First guy makes him make the move to lose his momentum. Second guy hits him.
The wisdom to that play, Ron, is to get the ball to a good, quick guy in an open field situation. And in a field like this, if you can get a one-on-one, the guy with the ball should win every time because he knows where he's going.
Wayne Lee was going after that 3rd down punt by Bob Cameron. He still got it away. Rufus Crawford takes it at his own 35, and he runs it back to the 48. Stopped there by Scott Flagel. A 49-yard kick and a 14-yard return. Scott Flagel, I'm sorry, Leo, has come up with so many big plays this year for Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's excellent field position for the 2nd time this half now for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And you get the impression that the game is starting, or starting the second half about the same way it started before. It looks like Hamilton is coming out there with a little emotion this second half, and Winnipeg hasn't really hit their stride yet.
1st and 10, Brock's pass to the sideline, intended for Dwayne Jett. Dieter was under some pressure, and he also had a little problem with his footing.
Well, you're going to slip a little bit as a quarterback. That ball wasn't thrown very well, and Jett didn't run a very good pattern for the same reason. He went down and planted to go to outside, and he slipped. So you had problems at both ends.
Well, it shows that the great respect that they have for Dieter, that they haven't been blitzing so much. You know, Dieter can get rid of that ball about as quickly as anybody can, and he reads the defenses about as well. And when they do come, boy, they can really put some pressure on you.
2nd and 10. Going deep for Crawford. Incomplete. He made a valiant effort to stretch out and haul that long throw in, but it just went off the end of his fingertips. He was being covered by Wiley Turner.
You know what it is? It's sometimes a guy like Crawford underestimates an arm like Dieter's got, and he started looking up for the ball, and as soon as he looked up for the ball a little bit early, he kind of broke his stride, and I think if he would have ran under that ball, he may have got there.
8:30 the time remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in front of Hamilton, 30-17. Third down punt by Bernie Ruoff. He stands at his own 35-yard line. The ball bounces in front of Kevin Nealis, and he has to chase all the way back to his own 13-yard line. The rookie from the University of Manitoba gets back to the 24, stopped there by Dave Grappe.
Boy, he's a gutty little guy, too. We've seen him in the last 3 or 4 games make some great punt returns, and on that one, he was about one man short of breaking it down that seam.
Henry Washchuk looking on. He knows they got to get things going, but the big thing in return of punts, don't let the ball hit the ground. You got to catch that ball, cost your field position and yardage every time you let it hit.
Blue Bombers on their first 2 offensive series in this third quarter have been deep in their own zone. They start there again from the 24.
There's that swing pass out in the flat again. It's a one-on-one.
That will be close to a first down. Let's see where they mark it. Willard Reeves decked again by Leo Ezerins, who's playing another strong ball game for the Ticats.
Watch the swing pass to Reeves. Now, when he catches it, what he looks for is a seam, and he has got a seam between the outside corner and the inside backer. He just goes for it. Straight ahead, make them make the hit, and he runs with so much confidence. That's a great hit right there. Leo
And that
Ezerins.
hit has hurt Willard Reeves.
That would be a bad hurt, too. It looks like it may be a shoulder. But another thing, Hamilton are dropping back their linebackers and their deep backs, allowing those swing backs to come out there. And then when the ball is thrown to the swingman on the outside, it's a recovery by that secondary that's important. And you got to plant your feet and really recover in a hurry. And if you slip on that first time, that's the difference between a first down and just a normal gainer.
There you see the hit. An excellent hit. It looks like a shoulder. But you know what I believe? When the weather is cold like this, a lot of hits, you lose the feeling just for a second from the hit. It'll come back to you in a couple seconds. I look for Reeves to be back in the ballgame pretty soon.
Leo Ezerins started his career with Winnipeg, and at one point after the trade to Hamilton, he was contemplating retirement, but what a season he has had. Second and short yardage. Pat Kantner is in there. Clemens keeps, and he'll have the first down as he drove up to the 35-yard line. As we look again at Willard Reeves, he appears to be having some problems with that right shoulder.
He looks like he's in some pain there.
The Shenley Award winner is the country's outstanding player. He beat out Rufus Crawford of the Ticats for that distinction. And number 38 indeed has been special, particularly to the folks who sit in the handicapped section. Sean Keogh takes the swing pass and fights his way out across the 40 to the 42, upset by Ben Zambiazzi.
Well, that's what we anticipated again, Ron. They're just going to swing out there as long as the Hamilton team keeps giving them that drop-off, and as long as their linebackers play tight on the inside where they can swing it out. Watch this little bit of contact there.
Especially on first down. You may not get 10 with it, but you can get 5, 6, and 7, and on first down, that's pretty good.
Second and 4. Clemens in trouble, got the pass away to Joe Poplawski, and he'll get the first down. Clemens had to step up into that pocket, and although he went down on one knee, nobody touched him, and he was still able to complete the throw.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that's a great effort by Tom Clemens. He had time to throw the football, didn't like it, started to step up, and then just lost his footing.
Just looked like he genuflected, got back up and threw it. Said a short prayer.
Jerome Erdman has come into the ball game for Rick House on 1st and 10 from the 50-yard line with 5:32 remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in front by a score of 30-17. Sean Keogh fumbles the ball. I believe, however, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were able to cover up as one of the officials got involved. Commissioner Doug Mitchell, in his first full year as the head knock in the Canadian Football League, I'm sure enjoying the game. The fact that all the events here in Edmonton this week have been so well attended.
I'll tell you, we've said that before in the playoff games, that Edmonton has done a sensational job throughout the week. The ball gets kicked loose there. The ground can't make you fumble, so I'm not sure that was a fumble in the first place.
Second and short yardage, Sean Keogh. And he drives straight ahead for the first down. What a ball game he is having.
Well, a substantial thing that you see right here is the ball crossing over the midfield stripe. That means that Winnipeg did give Hamilton the game, the ball, and the wind on the kickoff in the second half. But if they can advance that ball in this part of the field and keep the ball there, they're in control of this football game.
From the 48, 1st and 10, Winnipeg. Down the sidelines, great catch by Joe Poplawski. A couple of the natives are coming home to shine in the city of Edmonton.
Boy, that's for sure. Clemens rolls to his left. Poplawski goes on a flat out to the sidelines and turns it up on the far side of the field and makes just a super catch.
Well, that's a little bit like Murph said he was going to do before the ball game. He said he was going to get it down the seam, going one way and throwing back. But that time he went to the outside man, pretty assured of getting a one-on-one situation over there on that outside man, and just threw the ball perfectly.
A gain of 34. Willard Reeves is back in. Pat Kantner to the bench. The draw play with Willard Reeves, and he picks up about 3 or 4 yards. Rod Skillman, along with Ben Zambiazzi, made contact, and again, Willard Reeves is down. Willard Reeves missed 4 or 5 plays. He was replaced by Pat Cantner, but that shoulder obviously is still causing him trouble.
John Bonk doing a pretty good job on Skillman. Skillman just trying to find out where the ball is. He found it when finally he gets in on the tackle. But John Bonk made the initial block on him to allow Reeves to get some yardage upfield, in fact 5 yards.
Al McCann is at that Winnipeg bench, and perhaps, Al, you can give us some indication as to what the initial problem was.
What happened with Willard Reeves, Don, is that terrible collision. He damaged his shoulder. He was in a lot of pain. The doctors checked him with the training staff, and I was surprised they let him go back into the ball game because he was asking to go back in, but he was obviously in tremendous pain. This could be it now for Willard. I think he's even injured it again.
Well, there's the initial one on the hit by Leo Ezrins, and then as we saw that time, he carried the football, and he just may not be able to go again. That would be a big blow, and as you say, he wants to go. Everybody wants to play today.
Pat Cantner is back in, 2nd and 5 Winnipeg. The ball is just inside the 10-yard line. Into the end zone for Jeff Boyd, incomplete. Mark Streeter came across and I believe got a hand on it. Streeter already with an interception in the ball game and a game-saving or a touchdown-saving knockdown.
Well, you see the ball. Let's see if he does get it. He
just dropped it. Hit him right in the hands. I didn't think there was any contact to that ball. Tommy's a little bit upset by it, but Tommy will get him back in the huddle and say, don't worry about it, we'll get it next time.
Or else he'll say, squeeze it. One or the other.
Jeff Boyd should have had 6 in that one. The point after the field goal by Trevor Kennard, and that makes it a 33-17 game with 2:42 remaining in the 3rd quarter in Grey Cup 1984 at Commonwealth Stadium. That's Northlands Coliseum, the home of the Stanley Cup champion Edmonton Oilers, and I'm sure many of the spectators at this afternoon's Grey Cup game were in the stands last night as the Oilers defeated the Vancouver Canucks 7-0. Peter Lougheed, the Premier of the province of Alberta, enjoying the game this afternoon along with the Minister of Sports, Otto Jelinek. Rufus Crawford on this kickoff return, upended at the 40-yard line. Pat Cantner was downfield to make contact with him.
There's a blow for the Winnipeg team. They're taking Willard Reeves to the dressing room.
A penalty flag on that kickoff return by Rufus Crawford, and the call will go against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Out in front, 33-17.
Major foul, Winnipeg number 52, piling on. 1st down.
Aaron Brown guilty of piling on after the initial contact had been made. So it's 1st and 10 Hamilton. They are at the midfield stripe. On the sidelines, Rufus Crawford was unable to hold on to the Dieter Brock throw. Cal Murphy trying to win his 7th Grey Cup ring, 6 of them as an assistant coach, 1 with the Montreal Alouettes and 5 with the Edmonton Eskimos. And for Dieter Brock, despite the fact he has played 11 seasons in the Canadian Football League, this is his 1st Grey Cup game. Attempting to dump it off to Johnny Shepard, it falls short of the mark, and Hamilton again is forced into a kicking situation.
You know, Winnipeg has got a real respect for Dieter Brock and his throwing ability, but they also know that there's a young offensive line over there with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and they're doing an inordinate amount of blitzing this afternoon, and Dieter is, instead of reading that blitz and looking to the inside there, we see him right here, he just doesn't have time to get set up and throw the football. Winnipeg has got some people back there that can cover one-on-one.
Bernie Ruoff's punting was such a key in the semifinal triumphs over Montreal and that final victory over the Toronto Argonauts. Kevin Nealon is stopped at the 24-yard line by Pat Brady. That kick traveled 36 yards. 33-17, the Blue Bombers lead the Ticats with 1:47 remaining in the third quarter.
Ron, I should say, as you referred to earlier in the pregame talk, Hamilton uses an awful lot of zone defense. Well, there's a guy there that hasn't got all his shooters either.
They've been in the zone all afternoon, and I haven't yet to see them play man-to-man, even down on the 8-yard line.
I think down in his position like this, they've got to go after Clemens a little bit. They found out that he can hit those guys on the outside like this right here and just move the football, so they're going to have to go and get some pressure on him.
Well, little do we know, Dale, they went man-to-man right there, and the feeling is that their corners just wouldn't be able to cover Winnipeg's wide outs on one-on-one coverage, and you see how much cushion that Jeff Boyd had. He was wide open on the turn.
Well, Jeff Boyd, who dropped that touchdown pass in the end zone, picks up 8 as he takes it out of bounds at the 33.
Cal looks like he's a little wild up about something there, too. Cal, you're ahead in the ball game. Settle down.
The short yardage offense is in on 2nd and 2. The ball is at the 33. Don Clemens keeps. He got across the 35-yard line. That should be a first down, Winnipeg. 1:03 is the time remaining in the third quarter.
That was Mark Braggignol on the sideline, and a little reflection over there. He's a real competitor. His family is out here, his sister and his brother's girlfriend. And Mark told me before the game, he said, would you do me a favor and say happy birthday to my sister Lisa? So Mark, consider it done.
1st and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 35. Sean Kehoe driving across the 40 to about the 43-yard line, stopped there by Ben Zambiazzi.
Again, you're going to see now Tommy Clemens has had all kind of success sprinting and rolling to one side and the other. And because of that, the defense has got to come with an outside contained rush with a little bit more severity. And when they do that, it opens up those seams on the inside. And Kehoe and Reeves or whoever is in there at the time can make some yardage on that stuff.
2nd and 2, Winnipeg. The pitch to Sean Kehoe. He's still on his feet, but they rule that he had been stopped. He lost yardage on the play, and that is also the final play of the third quarter. So with 15 minutes remaining in Grey Cup 84, Winnipeg leads Hamilton 33-17. Attendance record has been established this afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium. 60,081 taking in Grey Cup 84. As the Blue Bombers start the fourth quarter with Bob Cameron standing back on his own 25-yard line for this third down kick. Crawford will field it again at the 28, and he is decked at the 35. A 40-yard kick by Bob Cameron. And the former Prime Minister, now the Minister of External Affairs, Joe Clark, a native of High River, Alberta, enjoying the action, I'm sure, here this afternoon in his home province. First and 10. The Ticats at their own 35-yard line. Incomplete, intended for Johnny Shepard. He was decked immediately by Aaron Brown. It will be 2nd and 10.
See, Winnipeg, Ron, is doing something that Hamilton won't do. They're coming with their outside linebackers. They're coming with an inside stunt, things like that. They're right up in Dieter Brock's face, and he's got to throw the ball in a hurry.
Well, especially there when Aaron Brown drops out of his linebacker position. As soon as he sees that back release, he was going. And boy, he put a good hit on Johnny Shepard right away.
Ron Johnson comes wide left. Dwayne Jett out to the right. Brock going down those right sidelines, and Dwayne Jett comes up with what should be a first down as he was forced out of bounds by Delbert Fowler. For a fellow who a week ago did not anticipate playing in this game, he's played a key role for the Ticats.
Well, you see, he just goes down and stands on the sideline. The quarterback knows where he is. He'll take the quick look downfield. If he doesn't have what he likes, then he throws it outside to Jett.
I'm surprised if Dieter doesn't do that more, too. Roll to one side and try to get a one-on-one on the other side. Go to Johnson and Jett on either sideline cuts or deep passes.
Oh, Tyrone Jones was all over Dieter Brock before he had a chance to set up.
That was one of those inside stunts that they used last week so successfully. They come inside the defensive end on that one, and that really put the pressure on. Nobody even touched him. Just went flying right past everybody and was right on him. No chance.
Boy, he is quick. You know who missed him? Mark Bragnola stepped a little bit too wide, and when he stepped outside, Jones goes inside. Watch him. Bang, right inside of him.
Straight.
This morning at the hotel, all the other players were walking up the stairs to their pregame meal. Jones had an interesting comment, Ron, that you can tell us about as he took the elevator.
He said he was saving his energy. He's using it here this afternoon.
Penalty flag on the play as Johnson is open on the sidelines, and he goes out of bounds in front of the Winnipeg bench at the 48.
I think you're going to find that Winnipeg jumped the gun and they were offside. The pass should stand.
It will. Tony Norman was the one who jumped off.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 55, declined. First down.
So a gain of 21 on the pass completion to Ron Johnson, and it's first and 10 for Hamilton. They are now at the Winnipeg 48-yard line. 33-17 is the score, favoring the Bombers with 12:45 left in the game. Intended for DiPietro on the sidelines, incomplete.
This is what Winnipeg likes to do. They love to play games up front. And watch right here. This is a linebacker right here. He will step in and eat up a block, and then Tyrone Jones comes around, and he comes right up the middle with nobody near him. But Dieter got rid of the ball quick. See, Tyrone Jones takes one step, and now the back can't find him, and he gets up in there. But that's a little bit too long. Dieter had time to throw the football.
You got the key right there. He's very, very difficult to blitz. And when they get to him, they're going to put some physical damage on him.
Throwing deep for Crawford, incomplete. He was being covered by Ken Haley.
If Dieter keeps doing this, throwing the sideline cuts and then working deep with his receivers, he's going to hit somebody sooner or later. And when he does that, they can score in a hurry.
Well, he'll have to score in a hurry because time now is the enemy of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 12:20 left on the clock. 33-17 is the score in favor of Winnipeg. Bernie Ruoff, one of 10 ex-Blue Bombers on the roster of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, standing at his own 47-yard line for this third down punt. Kevin Nealis, coming down the sidelines, is decked at the 14-yard line after a 48-yard boot by Bernie Ruoff. 12:02 is the time left in the game. 33-17, Winnipeg lead.
You know, the attitude here at the Hamilton bench is much better than you would think, even though they're down badly. I think they feel better that they've been able to stop the bleeding from that second quarter, and they're holding on. They still feel they have slight chance. Well, we'll see. Al?
Well, trail by 16.
Okay, Tony Norman. Tony, only a few minutes to go. You going to hold on?
Well, yeah, I think we can hold on. I know Dee's going to go deep on us. They're behind, but we just got to keep coming as a unit, stick together. I know that this is the biggest game of my life, and you know, it's hard for me to express it right now, but I'd like to say hi, you know, to my mom back home in Atlanta, Georgia. She's watching, she's sick. And I also like to say hi to a lot of my friends back in Winnipeg, JJ and Nadine and a lot of my buddies. But we just got to hold on for 10 minutes. Hey, we win the Grey Cup. I'm just so excited. Thank you.
The injured Winnipeg player being assisted to the bench is Kevin Nealis, and Willard Reeves is back in the ball game. He had gone to the Blue Bomber dressing room for further examination after injuring that shoulder. In that play, Sean Kehoe was the ball carrier, and he picked up 1, maybe 2 yards before being stopped by Priestner and Zambiazzi.
I thought Ernie Afghana said something that was substantial over there on the sidelines, and that is that Hamilton has not let down 1 ounce. And right down here with the field position to their advantage, a little mistake here by Tommy. He's got to play it pretty close to the vest down here, or they could be right back in this ball game.
On second down, Clemens getting good protection. He has the sideline completion to Jeff Boyd for a first down.
That's about as safe as you can get. He rolls out there, bides time, and makes sure that he can get it in there.
Sitting next to Doug Mitchell is Howard Pauly, the premier of the province of Manitoba. And like all Manitobans, enjoying what is taking place here at Commonwealth Stadium so far.
Well, you know, notice how gingerly he made that cut, and then goes and stands on the sidelines.
That's the thing that I had to look at too, Ron. He really was very careful with his footwork over there.
After that 16-yard gain on the 1st and 10, Willard Reeves breaks a couple of tackles, and he'll have 9. Stopped by Felix Wright.
Well, there's 2 plays right there that are just perfect plays for this time of the ball game in that field position. Number 1, don't get yourself in a position down at that end of the field where you're going to make a mistake. So roll out, bide your time, and make sure you can get the ball in there for a short pass. Number 2, let your running back with a good offensive line sustain the drive, and that's exactly what they did.
Don, while we have a minute, I'd like to wish my daughter a happy 25th birthday in Regina. I know she's having a party, and even Pat Marsden said to say happy birthday, Lan.
We echo that sentiment too, don't we, Don?
All of us will say happy birthday to Lana. It's the price of a phone call, doesn't it, Ron?
Well, I talked to her this morning.
While we're going here, this program is copyrighted and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and CTV is strictly prohibited.
Well, at the start of the year, Willard Reeves said that his goal in 1984 was to rush for 1,800 yards and win the Grey Cup. He didn't achieve that 1,800-yard target, falling just short, missing by 67 yards, but he may indeed have his name engraved on the Grey Cup. Felix Wright, who had those 4 interceptions in the Eastern Championship game, in the victory in overtime over the Toronto Argonauts, shaken up on the play. Mike McIntyre goes in. On 2nd and short, Willard Reeves gets the first down.
Well, this is the ideal thing for Winnipeg right now. Ball control, keep it away from them. Just eat that clock up. If you put the ball in the end zone, fine. Don't turn it over. That's a big key for them right now. So far, it's going just the way they want it.
The only thing you got to tell them right now is keep both hands on the ball and don't get it knocked loose. But they're in operating position right now. They're in the middle of the field. Tommy can do just about anything he wants to do right now, but just don't fumble the ball. Don't throw an interception.
9:47 is the time remaining. 33-17, Winnipeg leading. Clements will try and put it in the air, going deep for Murphy. He had to come back to the football, but makes the catch at the 30-yard line.
Well, I think that's the play that Murphy was telling us about before, Ron, that he wanted to get in. He wanted to get that seam pattern in, start in one direction, send Murphy right down the seam, and that's exactly what he did. I underthrew it a little bit, but he still made the catch for a very substantial gain, and it doesn't look too good for Hamilton right now.
36 yards on the pass to James Murphy, his 3rd catch of the day. 1st and 10 from just inside the 30-yard line. Clements rolling away from the pressure. Throwing for Poplawski, and he makes the catch down at the 10.
That field might be hard, but that Poplawski will go get the football. Well, I'll tell you, he went out there, and you have to have great hands to hold on to that ball when you hit the ground. You want it to throw. Watch here. Watch him go out and get it.
You want to know something? In that semifinal game, or that final game, it was Poplawski that set the stage in the early stages of the game, made several real key catches to get them in a position where they were ready to win that football game. And here he is again. He can catch it.
And one thing, Don, he doesn't wear gloves.
19 yards the gain. It's 1st and 10, Winnipeg, from just outside the 10-yard line.
Can't afford him.
Clements throwing into the corner, and coming back to the ball was Rick House, getting to about the 3-yard line. He had gone into the end zone, and as all good receivers will do, when he saw that his quarterback was in trouble, he came back.
Straight down the field, and he ran right into the defensive halfback, and then when Clements got in trouble, he came back. And that's the way you want to do. You don't want Clements to take too many hits on those ribs.
There'll be a slight delay as there's an injured Hamilton ball player. Felix Wright, who had returned to the game, is again heading to the Hamilton bench, being escorted by trainer Ray Jones, and McIntyre will come in.
When you're this close down there with the great job that Reeves has done all year, he'll probably get the football and they'll let him stick it in the end zone.
Willard Reeves with the call. Touchdown!
Well, they haven't stopped that play all day. Vernon Paul has done a great job when he comes in at that end position. And when they get going, Willard Reeves gets wound up and just straight ahead.
And nobody was cheering more for Willard Reeves to put it in the end zone than the folks sitting in the handicap section. And Willard Reeves sends the ball over to the Winnipeg Blue Bomber bench. And after the Bombers try the point after, Willard Reeves will send somebody up into the handicap section. The Grey Cup now being moved into position for presentation. And with Winnipeg leading 39-17, it looks very much as though it will go to the Manitoba Capital as Trevor Kennard makes it 40-17 with 7:37 remaining in Grey Cup 84. Having difficulty with that kickoff is Johnny Shepard. He finally found the handle and returned it to the 34-yard line where he was stopped by Scott Flagel. 7:30 the time remaining. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers making their first Grey Cup appearance since 1965. The last time they won was 1962, and that trophy in 1984, at least until the 1985 season, looks as though it will be heading for Winnipeg.
That cup right there sure causes a lot of creation and commotion, doesn't it? I mean, there's a lot of blood over that thing.
Tyrone Jones again is on the back of Dieter Brock.
Boy, he's had a great afternoon. He's made a lot of big plays.
Well, there he is again, Leo. Watch him. Boy, he fights with him, and he rolls, he fights, and when the quarterback steps up, he's ready to be there.
That's what you call second, third, and fourth effort.
Player acquired by Winnipeg through a free agent camp. What a find he has proven to be.
I see why he took the elevator one floor.
He was conserving his energy for the game.
And he's used it all today.
Brock trying to dump it off to John Shepard. It's incomplete. Well, last year, the former commissioner made the presentation of the Grey Cup trophy. Jake Godard presenting the trophy to the Toronto Argonauts. The Argonauts eliminated in the Eastern Championship as they attempted to defend this year by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, thanks to the outstanding kicking job of Bernie Roy. With the injury to Kevin Nealis, David Shaw has replaced him on the punt return team, joining Sean Kehoe back there. And Shaw is the man who returns it to the 54-yard line, stopped there by Mike McIntyre. Winnipeg leads 40-17 with 6:14 remaining in Grey Cup 84. Well, I'm sure that fella in the middle of the screen looks like a few of the Grey Cup celebrants felt this morning when the alarm clock went off. But the Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans are certainly enjoying themselves here in Edmonton. Large contingents of fans made their way to the Alberta capital, the city of Edmonton. And John Huffnagel, who came on in relief of Tom Clements in the first quarter, is now warming up at the Winnipeg bench, an indication that we will see Huffnagel before this game is over. Sean Kehoe having an outstanding ball game, breaks this one all the way to the 27-yard line.
Boy, that's just determination. No doubt about that. When he bounced in there and bounced wide open. Let's watch him.
We were talking about dark horses before this game, Ron. That would have been a dark horse, wouldn't it? He's had a sensational game.
Boy, he's got some speed. Once he finds that seam, he almost goes the distance.
Well, the man who most often is referred to as Winnipeg's other running back picked up 29 yards in that one. Kehoe again inside the 25-yard line, stopped there by Rod Skillman, and it could be that Sean Kehoe already has one hand on one of those outstanding player awards in this 1984 Grey Cup game.
As we see Cal stand there on the sidelines, and you know the mark of a great football team, not a good football team, a great football team, it's a team that in a championship game can get 14 points down, then come back and do what they've done.
On second down, over on the far sidelines, it's Pat Kantner with a first down. Felix Wright forced Kantner out of bounds with 4:41 remaining, but it will be Winnipeg first and goal from the 7.
Will there be dancing in the streets in your hometown, Don?
I think there might be a little celebrating long into the evening, and of course when the Blue Bombers return home tomorrow evening at around 6 o'clock, they have plans for a big celebration at the Winnipeg Arena.
22 years is a long time.
Hofnagel in there, giving to Sean Kehoe, who fights inside the 5. Things started so well this afternoon for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. A team emotionally high coming into this Grey Cup game after their underdog triumph against the Toronto Argonauts, and definitely playing the role of the underdogs coming into the Grey Cup game. 4 minutes and counting, the time remaining. Winnipeg second and goal. Hofnagel.
Oh, he's wide open.
Throwing into the end zone. Touchdown. This time, Jeff Boyd hangs on.
Boy, Jeff Boyd was open about 15 yards around in the end zone before Hofnagel saw him, and he finally got him the ball. The defensive guy almost got there to knock it down.
Well, the corner, defensive back, the corner tried to bump him coming off the line, and when you jump inside and you're home free, a little play action fake to hold the safety man Bennett, then find him, and Hofnagel does. He didn't drop this one.
We talked about Sean Kehoe's contribution. Trevor Kennard hasn't had a bad afternoon either. With the point after, it's Winnipeg 47, Hamilton 17. 3:50 is the time remaining. Well, Jeff Boyd certainly atoned for the earlier miscue. He dropped one end zone pass from Tom Clements. He hung on to that one from John Hofnagel.
Boy, it's been a long time for John Hofnagel. Been in this Canadian Football League a long time. He finally got to a Grey Cup and threw a touchdown pass. And all week it was whether Hofnagel's going to get the start because of Clements' injury. And I know I talked to John a couple times this week. He figured and he knew Tom Clements would play, but as he said, I will be ready if he can't.
(47-17), 3:50 the time remaining. Trevor Kennard, who had some problems early in the year with his placement kicking, was deadly accurate against the British Columbia Lions in the Western Final, and he has also done a superb job this afternoon in the Grey Cup game. Johnny Shepard mishandled the ball. It rolls back to the 1-yard line. Rufus Crawford picks it up there, and he is stopped at the 13. Now let's go down to the Winnipeg bench and bring in Al McCann.
I'll tell you, they're called the White Horses, at least by Wintergreaves, and here's one of them. I'll tell you, Chris, you got to be really happy about this. You can taste it now.
Oh, I tell you what, it was, you know, we started off pretty slow and caused a few turnovers, and they got the big jump on us 17-3. We just showed the character of this team. We didn't fold our tents. We came here knowing that Hamilton was tough. We were in a Grey Cup game. We came back, we scored the points. It's great. It's just a great feeling. Thanks a lot.
Mark Bragagnola takes the throw from Dieter Brock and is upset by Donovan Rose. He'll have a gain of about 4 yards. Well, Dieter Brock spent the first 9 years of his CFL career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He compiled an enviable record and a reputation as having the strongest passing arm in pro football, but this afternoon he has come up against a very tough Winnipeg defensive unit. Brock dumps it off, and Hamilton will get the first down. 2:51 is the time remaining as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are on the way to a Grey Cup triumph. Well, back in Winnipeg, I'm sure in many homes the celebration has already begun for those watching Grey Cup 84 on television, and in just a few minutes it will officially begin for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they'll be sipping champagne from the Grey Cup in the warmth of their dressing room. It's much colder, however, out on this playing field this afternoon for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Dieter Brock trying to dump it off to Johnny Shepard. It will be 2nd and 10. 2:40 the time remaining.
I think one thing we got to point out here, though, is that Hamilton never quit all afternoon. They were outmanned and outgunned. There was no question about that. They got off to a great start, and then they got behind in the ball game, but they never quit. And certainly Al Bruno doesn't have anything to be ashamed of. He brought that team along after a lot of controversy in the newspaper and a lot of suspicion about the coaching staff and everything else. They got him to this big game, and he deserves a lot of credit.
Pat Brady has replaced Henry Waschuk at center for the Ticats. Brock again under pressure, and that pass fell short of Rocky DiPietro.
Well, there's nobody more disappointed than that man, number 5, Dieter Brock. They talked to him yesterday and again today about his preparation. He felt this football club was ready to go. But you know what? You can only play so far on emotion, and then talent takes over, and Winnipeg's had the talent.
That's a good way to put it, Ryan. I think that capsules it pretty well this afternoon. They were just played against a much better football team.
This time it's Haley and Kehoe back to accept the 3rd down punt by Bernie Ruoff. It bounces to Ken Haley, and he is stopped at the 42-yard line by Wayne Lee after a 49-yard kick by Bernie Ruoff. Right now, the Hamilton Tiger Cats want that clock to progress as quickly as possible from the 2:22 that still remains. Winnipeg Blue Bombers rather anxious to begin their official celebration as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cal Murphy has instructed Huffnagel to kind of modify his signal calling in here and kind of let the clock run out.
This is when it gets cold on the sidelines.
Sean Kehoe continuing to fight, and he has a 1st down. Sean Kehoe, along with Willard Reeves, a year ago, 1983, on July 2nd to be exact, traded to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And as I said, Sean Kehoe then considered the other running back. Tom Clements has been chosen the outstanding offensive player of the ball game after a very shaky start. He'll be getting the keys to a brand new car. First and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 53. Again, it's Sean Kehoe fighting his way to the 50-yard line.
That's 2 running plays in a row, and you have to admire Cal Murphy for doing this now. He's letting them earn it the hard way if they're going to earn it.
This afternoon, Kehoe has carried 10 times for 71 yards. Defensively, Tyrone Jones, not really a surprise. Picked as the outstanding defensive player of the game. And he, too, will be receiving the keys to a new automobile. 1:56 is the time remaining. Winnipeg in front, 47-17. Paul Palma, who earlier this year was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, has replaced veteran Nick Vestaya at that guard position. Kehoe trying to get outside. He'll get another 1st down as he goes out of bounds at the 41-yard line, forced out by Paul Bennett. And Sean Kehoe, with the announcement just now on the public address system, is aware that he has won the award as the outstanding Canadian player, and he is being congratulated in the huddle by his teammates.
You know, it seems like a couple years ago that we used to say that Sean Kehoe, when he'd get in just every once in a while for Edmonton, looked like he had some ability. Well, he's had an opportunity to be in there now regularly, and he certainly is going to be one of the great running backs in the future in the Canadian Football League.
Sean Kehoe is certainly getting a lot of work over these final couple of minutes with 1:28 remaining as the Blue Bombers celebrate this Grey Cup triumph, 47-17. They lead the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And we remind you, stay tuned for our post-game shows. We'll take you inside that victorious Winnipeg Blue Bomber dressing room. John Keogh's picked up 86 yards so far. He'll add 4 more. I'm sure he'd like to finish the game with 100 yards rushing.
Boy, I'm sure he would. Sean Keogh and Joe Poplawski coming back to Edmonton to play. To have the kind of game Keogh's had here. He was an excellent and great running back at the University of Alberta. And boy, you know, he has to be happy playing in his hometown.
I'm not sure he ever had 100 yards since he's been playing in the Canadian Football League. And what a great time to have it in a Grey Cup. That goes down the record book. Boy, that you have 100 yards in the Grey Cup, that's pretty substantial.
Well, with 52 seconds remaining, it's 3rd and just over a yard for Winnipeg. And this time it's Pat Kantner carrying the ball and getting the first down as he fights his way inside the 20, but then loses the football as Gerald Best stole it away from him.
Took it right away from him and picked it clean.
So with 38 seconds remaining, the Hamilton Tiger Cat offensive unit moves onto the field.
Boy, I bet you Al Bruno is breathing a sigh of relief too, because it's a lot of difference in the overall score when you look in the newspaper and it's 47-17 if it's 54-17. 54 sounds like an awful lot more points.
Well, the Winnipeg
Blue
Bombers.
18. So does 18 when you're on the short end.
I was going to say the Blue Bombers have an opportunity to equal the Grey Cup record of most points in a game, 54. Jeff Tedford in at quarterback, his completion to Johnny Shepard. Gain of 9 with 33 seconds remaining.
And win or lose, it's nice of Al Bruno to put the young Tedford in there, because this Tedford kid is going to remember this game for a long time. He's had a chance to play in a Grey Cup game. Win or lose, it's a big honor.
2nd and 1. They tried to pick up the first down with Dave Braffey. He was stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure whether he made it. 19 seconds now remaining, and finally Cal Murphy is smiling. A very intent coach on the sidelines, displaying tremendous emotion all during the course of the ball game. But he's rather relaxed right now.
I'll bet he had some pulsating sensations in that early part of the ball game.
Well, this should be the final play of the ball game. 3rd and inches, Tedford keeps. He got to the 20-yard line, and that's it. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are Grey Cup champions from 1984, defeating the Hamilton Tiger Cats 47-17. And they say the mark of a true champion is the ability to come from behind. And twice this afternoon, the Blue Bombers had to overcome a 14-point deficit.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, the Hamilton Tiger Cats came out, jumped on the board early. It looked like they had things going their way, but the Bombers were just a little bit relaxed, a little too much. But boy, they got intent in that second quarter and just run off the points.
I think the whole difference in the ball game, Ron, was that the Hamilton defense felt that they had to play zone defense, that they had to take away the deep threat of those great receivers of the Winnipeg team, and as a result, they dropped off there. Tommy Clements, being the smart quarterback that he is, utilized that short pass to the best of advantages, and then that defensive front four for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, handicapped by this slippery field, couldn't get in there and put the pressure on them, and that was the story of the game.
Well, the presentation of the Grey Cup is going to be made now by CFL Commissioner Doug Mitchell. What a week this has been for John Bonk. The Shenley Award is the outstanding lineman, and now he'll get a hand on the Grey Cup.
What did he say? No, yeah, somebody does. Somebody has.
Commissioner Mitchell waiting for the proper moment to make the presentation. There were a number of fans down on the playing field, and I think he's ready now.
On behalf of all of Canada and football fans everywhere, it's an honor for me to present to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers the Grey Cup, emblematic of the champions of Canada! Of Canada!
behind Winnipeg.
This is Grey Cup 84 from Edmonton. Well, it's been 22 years since the city of Winnipeg has had the opportunity to celebrate a Grey Cup triumph, and Frank Rigney, a member of our broadcast crew, was a part of that championship team back in 1962. Frank, you must have some special emotion this afternoon.
Don, I certainly do, and I really can't be totally unbiased. I wasn't before the ball game started. 19 years since the Bombers played in this ball game, but 22, as Don mentioned to you, since the Grey Cup has belonged in the Manitoba capital. I think deservedly so. They were heavily favored ball club, and they should have been, regardless of what Pat Marsden told you early in the ball game.
Well, you know what I really want to say, though? When you consider that they have a fantastic front operation, Paul Robson has done an outstanding job as a general manager. They've got great talent on the club, superbly coached. I mean, they should have won the Grey Cup, and they did.
Let me ask a question. When was the last time a team won a Grey Cup with a Canadian as coach and a Canadian as general manager?
Well, you'd have to go back a few years to think of that.
Leaf, your view on the game this afternoon?
Well, I couldn't be more impressed with the job that Tom Clements did. We've talked about that before, but really, when they were a little demoralized during the first quarter, they came back. You see them in the locker room now. They've got to be just a delirious group of players, because there's no other feeling than the feeling of being a champion.
Leo, I think you made a very astute comment at halftime in your remark about Tom Clements going back into the ball game after having the problem with his contact lens.
Yeah, I think that was a turning point as far as the Winnipeg team was concerned, because Tom went out there, and as I said before, he had trouble with the contact lens. He went over to Murphy and he said, look, I'm ready to go back in. And it would have been very easy at that time for Murphy to have doubts about whether he should send Tommy back in, but he said, go ahead and take it, Tommy. Tommy went in, and the rest is history.
Ron Lancaster, it's somewhat appropriate, I think, that the team that has had the best record or played some of the most exciting football all season should wind up as champion for 1984.
That's the way you really like to have it. The best team should win the championship. They had one of the best records all year, along with the BC Lions. They come into the playoffs with the pressure on them. They come through that. The pressure on them all week. Everybody said they'd win. They go out and win it. The best team wins, and that's the way it should be.
Well, there's no question about it, but listen, let's give some credit to the Hamilton Ticats, who came out here, wanted to have some fun, had some fun in the first 25 minutes of the game, but it was inevitable. The end result was virtually inevitable.
Well, they were riding an emotional high, starting the ball game, talking to the players, as you did prior to the start of the game. They were ready to play. They were going to have some fun. They forced a lot of turnovers during the final few games. They got a couple that produced points to start the ball game, and they took advantage of it, but unfortunately they couldn't sustain it.
Well, it's 47-17, the final score. Let's go down now and say hello to Cal Murphy.
Well, I'll tell you, we got a happy group down here, believe me, and we've got a winning coach here. He owns that Grey Cup. He's been in, let's see, 7 of the last 8 years. You've won them all, Cal, but it must be kind of personally satisfying to win as head coach.
Well, I think anytime you win, Al, I really think it doesn't matter whether you're an assistant or a head coach or if you're a part of the organization. I think it's super. I really do.
How uptight did you get when you fell behind 17-3, Coach?
Well, we fell behind them early in the season when we played them. We fell behind 14-0, but when we got 17-3, I got a little bit worried. But as long as we moved the football the next time, I felt better about it. As soon as we moved the football, then I felt we could do it.
David Shaw gave you a big intercept. Tommy Clements lost the contact lens. You put Huffnagel in, but you went back to Clements.
Well, I'll tell you what, John had been doing a heck of a job when he went in there. He didn't miss a beat, but I just felt that we were trying to sprint an awful lot at that point in time, trying to get them wider, and that's why we went back to Tom. It wasn't anything that John was doing wrong, because he had just completed 2 passes in a row.
Leo Cahill said on the telecast, you guys seem to have a little better footing again, much like 2 weeks ago against Edmonton. You've got these slippery fields mastered, Coach.
Well, the only thing I can say is we tell the players, hey, don't let the field be an excuse for you. Use the field to your advantage, and I think we did.
Cal, marvelous performance all year. A great football team. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. I can't say enough about it. These guys got real character.
They really have.
Thanks a lot.
Let's meet some of the winners. Let's go over to Ernie.
Okay, Al, thank you very much. Tom Clements, who played an outstanding football game and was the offensive player of the game. Tom, congratulations. I know you got bunked a couple, lost the contact lens, but everyone was talking all week about that rib injury. How did you come through this game?
Well, there's no major problem. They're a little sore, but it's nothing like what happened to me last week.
Yes.
So I'm thankful for that.
But there must be great satisfaction for you in winning this game, something you really wanted all the time.
Well, it's been a long time since I've won.
Okay, been a long time waiting for that.
All right. It's been a long time since I played in the Grey Cup, and we've had a great year, and it's nice to cap it off this way.
Tom, okay, here we have Commissioner Mitchell along with this trophy, and we'll just, Commissioner, before you hand him the trophy, we're showing the second quarter here. Can you pick this up, Tom?
Well, that was, I think, our first touchdown we scored, and it was supposed to be a play to go to Willard Reeves, but he had to stay in and block, and Joe came open, and he made a good catch and got in the end zone.
Okay. Sorry, Commissioner, we interrupted there.
Carney O'Keefe's, it's an honor to present with you with the trophy Outstanding Offensive Player. You've won yourself a 1985 Ford Thunderbird.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Tom. I know you're going to have a lot more champagne, most of it in there, but congratulations.
So. Thanks a lot, Ernie. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back here in just a moment.
(47-17), the Winnipeg Blue Bombers win the 1984 Grey Cup game, and it snaps a long dry spell. It was 1962 they last won the Grey Cup, 1965 the last time they competed, and I've got the outstanding Canadian player in today's game, Sean Keogh. And Sean, I want to congratulate you. It was just a tremendous game on rather unstable footing, but you handled it well.
That was great fun. It's good to be home and playing here with our family and everything. It's just great. It's a great feeling. I can't really express it right now.
What did you think, Sean, when it was 14-0 and then 17-3? Were you terribly concerned?
Well, I'll tell you, I was starting to get visions of my first year with Edmonton when Ottawa jumped on top of us like that right off the bat, and it wasn't very good. But luckily enough, we came back, got a couple of big plays on defense, and it came around.
Well, you had a great game, Sean, and it's my pleasure to call in Commissioner Doug Mitchell to make the presentation.
Sean, it's a real honor for me to present to you the Dick Suderman Award as the Outstanding Canadian, award by Carling O'Keefe, and you're the winner of a 1985 Ford Bronco. Congratulations.
Great. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys.
All right.
Oh, first, before we let you get away, Sean, we're going to pop up one of the plays that you were involved in, and as you had many great ones. Tell me about it.
This was like a draw play, and it opens up pretty good to get a block on Zambiazzi, and actually I spun off that one. Good block down there on the halfback, and at that time it's just sort of hold on to the ball and don't fumble it.
Hey, the White Horses did another good job, didn't they?
No kidding, they're the greatest, man. They're the greatest.
Okay, Sean, thank you very much. Let's go over to Ernie with another award winner.
Tyrone Jones is the top defensive player, and Tyrone, what does it feel like to be a Georgia boy playing in below zero weather?
Well, I tell you, at first it was very cold, and, you know, after you got out and got your adrenaline flowing and everything, you know, just went in place as it was.
But it was a great game for you. Nothing affected you once you got rolling, did it?
No, nothing really did. You know, the field's in pretty bad shape, you know, to start off with, and guys had to decide what shoes they wanted to wear, and after we decided, you know, we spotted them 14 points, and we came back, which is a mark of a good ball club.
You just love to sack quarterbacks, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a shot of you sacking in the fourth quarter. It'll be coming up just a moment on your monitor. Maybe you tell us about it. But this game seemed to be all Winnipeg once you got going and in the lead. Here's the sack coming up.
Yeah, this is just a backside blitz. They were trying to block up with a halfback or either a fullback in that position. And matter of fact, I got double teamed on that, and I just kept working. You know, and Dieter stepped up in the pocket, and I was lucky to get the sack.
Yeah, you're just all over those people, Ty.
Definitely.
Okay. Commissioner Doug Mitchell is here to present you with this outstanding player trophy for the defensive award.
Ty, you've been selected, as you know, the outstanding player, the Carling O'Keefe Award, and it's my honor to present you with the trophy as well as the keys to a 1985 Ford Cougar. Thanks, Ty.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right. Thank you very much. And on behalf of Ford and Carling O'Keefe, I'd like to say thank you very much for awarding me this award, and I'll do it the best I can. I'd like to say hello and love St. Mary's. I love you, Mom. St. Mary's.
Okay, thank you, Ty.
And there's a look at the scene here at Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers triumphant 47-17 over Hamilton. A big Grey Cup victory to wrap up the 1984 season. And I'll tell you, one gang of guys who did a marvelous job all year are the guys that Willard Reeves calls the White Horses of Winnipeg. I've got a good representative in Chris Walby. Chris, congratulations. You guys won 10 straight games on grass turf.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky on that grass. It was a tough game today, and I think the better team won this year and today. It's just a great feeling, and no one can take it away. I got that ring from my finger, and no matter how many years back I look, I'm going to remember these guys and love them like brothers.
You know, I'll tell you, you can't take a thing away from Hamilton either. They gave it a good, tough fight.
They played well. We knew they were going to be playing tough. We knew we couldn't be cocky against them. They got Dieter Brock, who I played with before, and I got the utmost respect for. They got a great defense. It's just a great feeling. We knew we were the best, and we proved it to everybody in Canada today.
I know you thought you should have won last year. You did win this year. This could be the start of something we might see pretty often for a while, Chris.
Well, I sure hope so. I tell you what, the big thing is we got the monkey off our back. The first thing, beating BC in BC. Everybody knocked and said we're never going to win there. We beat them. Now we got the Grey Cup. I don't even worry about next year. Next practice is 2-a-days. I hate 2-a-days. I ain't worried about nothing. I'll tell you what, I'm enjoying myself now.
Have a good time, Chris.
All right.
You certainly earned it.
Best to you. I love you, Mom, Dad.
Let's go upstairs.
I was wondering when somebody was going to get it in that dressing room. When you've got biceps like Chris Walby, you don't argue with him, do you?
Chris wants to pour champagne on me. He can do it for the next 3 months. You know what, though? He really does typify what this football game was all about. I mean, you could see the emotion in his face. They wanted to win so badly.
Well, I'm going to relay one of the great lines on the final practice session of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Cal Murphy said, "Okay, guys, let's stretch it out. This is the final time until training camp." And the reply by Tom Clements that broke everybody up was, "Will it be Winnipeg or Calgary, Cal?"
That's right, because there has been some suggestion. Let's take a look at the stats. You remember at one time, Hamilton had twice as much yardage as Winnipeg. That was with about 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. Look how it all turned around.
483 yards total offense for the Blue Bombers, 180 for Hamilton. And this really isn't surprising. The Ticats had problems offensively against Montreal and Toronto. They won those games on the strength of their defense and outstanding punting by Bernie Ruoff. But this afternoon, Tom Clements, given that time by the offensive line, was able to pick it apart.
Let me make this comment about Tom Clements. He never gets too high and he never gets too low. I've seen him from the day he came to Canada. He went down to the NFL for a while and he came back, but he's a great leader, understands the game well. So let's go down and find out who's standing by in the dressing room area right now.
Okay, gentlemen, John Bonk here, who has had a tremendous year, as you know, won a Shenley Award, now a Grey Cup. John, congratulations. It's been just a great year for you, and as you pointed out here, it's great. You could have been in the steel mills, and here you are in a Grey Cup winner.
I never thought I'd come this far in professional football, you know, to win a Shenley and be part of a tremendous Grey Cup team like this. It's definitely a dream come true.
But, you know, when the team got down early, 14, very, very quickly, it didn't look good, but it appeared to everyone around that none of the team lost any poise.
It just points out the type of character this team has had all year, and I think we've been through it 2 or 3 times before. We've been down early in the game, and it shows the character this team has, not to panic, but to dig down deep and come back up with a tremendous game like we had today.
Is this a feeling in the team now that there is some sort of a dynasty beginning here?
I don't know. Right now, we just want to savor this win for now. We'll talk about dynasty later. I just want to say, Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. All the people back in Winnipeg, this one is for Manitoba.
Okay, thank you very much, John.
Al? You know, Ernie, it was 17-3 at one time, and it looked like maybe Hamilton were going to run it in and make it 24-3. But this man right here, David Shaw, picked off, I think, the key interception of the game, and it kind of turned it around. David, let's have a look at that play. You tell me about it.
Okay, what it was in a cover 3, and I got deep half, and I just tried to bait Rufus, and it seemed like it was open, and I was lucky to come across and get the ball.
I'll tell you, that was just one heck of a play, and it seemed like that kind of triggered your football team, David. They turned it around, went down and scored, and from that point on, it was all your way.
Yeah, you have to do it like that. Like the offense, they was out last week. They put a lot of points on the board, and it was just a matter of somebody on the defensive team coming up with a big play. Unfortunately, I was there at the right time.
Well, I know you won a big one against the BC Lions last week, but this had to be just about as big. Yeah, and you had to overcome all week that talk that you were going to blow them out. You had to forget that.
Yeah, but Dave Shaw, everybody know my nature. I'm more of a self-motivator. I motivate David Shaw. I don't look for nobody else to motivate me. And I'm more of a talker before the game, and I'm quiet after the game. I'm just fortunate to be a Bomber.
David, congratulations. Tremendous performance.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Ernie?
Al, Trevor Kennard is a Edmonton boy, really, as we look down at the Winnipeg dressing room here and see what's going on. Trevor, I thought, you know, here you go. Suck it up, suck it up. It's okay. Have a shot, go ahead. Trevor.
Edmonton, I love you.
And when he says Edmonton, he loves him, he means it because this is his hometown, play for the University of Alberta. But Trevor, I thought that in the first, are you okay? Yeah. In the first half particularly, I thought that your kicks kept the offensive or the opposing team off balance. So they kick into the sides. They were never able to recover and get in good field position.
That's right, Ernie. That's something that we have done all year. Coach Murphy likes me to angle the ball to the sidelines, and I knew with the ball being frozen that it really wasn't going to bounce very much. I was just trying to lay it as close to the out-of-bounds line as I could. I think twice it went out of bounds. About 2 or 3 times, Rufus Crawford fielded the ball, and I think we had him one time out at their 5, one time out at their 15-yard line. So that worked very, very well for us.
And after the team got down, I think they scored something like 44 straight unanswered points. It was just, once they started to go, bang, it was gone.
That's right, and it sounds very cliche, but this is a team. This is an outstanding team, and that's what we've been doing all season. We've won an awful lot of football games by 47 to 17 like scores, and when we were down 14-0, I felt that helped to wake us up. That we knew we were in a ball game then, and.
Trevor, would the real wake-up game have been the BC game where they really blocked you off and shut you down for that league championship? Would that have been the turning point there to get you going again?
I think that's very true. I think that helped us in the win in the Western Final. Okay. We, of course, didn't want to lose that last game in BC, but as it worked out, we'll take it. We'll take it, Ernie.
One more question. Do they kid you about being short anymore?
I'm not short. I'm not a small man. I just have short legs, and there's nothing I can do about that, Ernie.
Congratulations, Trevor.
Thank you very much.
Al, okay, from one kicker to another, from Trevor Kennard to punter Bob Cameron. Bob, congratulations. Another marvelous day, and I know before the game you were nervous about some of those slippery spots that you might have to punt off, maybe.
Yeah, it was really tough out there. The footing was something else. It was just like ice the whole time, but I thought our whole special teams played very well today, and obviously our offense and defense did one heck of a job.
Well, it was no place for a nervous person, partner. I talked to you during the game when it was 17-3, and you had an awful serious look on your face.
Hey, I was worried, and I think every Winnipeg fan and player was worried too, so I think it just showed the type of team we have, the way we can come back and put the points on the board in that second quarter was just outstanding.
Bob, there's somebody you want to make special hello to.
That's right. I'd like to say hello to Charlie Berquist in Ancaster, Ontario, my hunting buddy, and I'll see you this offseason when we go and hunt some pheasant.
Okay, Bob, congratulations.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Ernie, who you got?
Paul Robson here, the general manager of the team, Al, and we remember him as a player. We remember him as an assistant manager, now the GM, and congratulations, because in a very short space of time, Paul, it seems like you put things together. You must be very proud.
Well, I'm really proud of these players. These players have character. They, when you think of the adversity that they went through last year and then what they did. All right, yeah.
All right. All right. Nice golf.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
That's what they call a player's golf.
All right, yeah. This team has great character. They struggled through some adversity and they won, and we're right here. Grey Cup champions. Okay. It's right there, and it was a fabulous. Great job by Cal Murphy. Great job by his assistant coaches.
And you talk about coaching staffs. You say you had to put that really together too in a very short space of time.
Well, Cal Murphy's the key to everything. We hired Cal, and he did just an outstanding job of assembling the players and the coaching staff. And it's a great day for Winnipeg and the province of Manitoba. It's no longer loser peg, it's winner peg.
When we look back, well, you made a trade that sent Dieter Brock on into Hamilton, and you got Tommy Clements. Actually, that was really the trade that seemed to put things together, and now you're the winners.
Well, it did, and I would say about Dieter Brock, he did a great job. He got things going there earlier in the game for us, made it very, very difficult. But Tommy Clements and John Huffnagel have done an outstanding job for us, and I don't want to look. I'm not the guy. The guys that did it are the players on the field.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Ernie, you're super.
All right,
everybody's super.
Okay, hey, here's a guy who had a tough day and a brave day. Willard Reeves, you played with that bad shoulder. Congratulations, partner.
Thank you very much. This is something we've been looking for all year round. We've been working for it since day one. Going into training camp, and this is the goal we had set to get to the Grey Cup.
Well, you played super. Congratulations on all of your accolades. I hope that shoulder heals quickly, and best of luck next year.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Willard, one more thing I want to ask you. It doesn't hurt as much now, eh?
Oh, no, heck no. I got 6 months to heal and whatever. Man, I got to go to the police department, do my little running, do my little riding and whatever. But heck, we're going to come back next year.
Okay, Willard.
Do I have to?
While it is all over for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the memories will be cherished. For Hamilton, the memories will turn to dreams of '85.
It really has been a great week here in Edmonton. The people will take home memories of a week of warm, friendly hospitality, of a Grey Cup festival brimming with good cheer. Edmonton has been fun for us all, and no matter what team you cheered for today, we hope you enjoyed this presentation of our country's biggest single-day Good night from Edmonton.